morning, Tartaria, Australian autodidactic. Hey, buddy, you're
Hey,
fucking far
hey,
away today.
I am, man. I am in the US of A.
Yeah, like a thump, just like that,
Just like
just
that.
like that. Yes. So where are you exactly?
I'm in North Carolina. Just,
And what's it like?
it's good, man. It's nice. It's funny, all the trees have lost their leaves. So, like being from Australia, it looks like they're all dead because
Oh, yeah.
all the leafless trees in Australia are dead ones. But they're all starting to come back, and yeah, it's nice. It's a little bit, we're just coming out of winter, so it's a bit
Oh, you're in
chillier, which is
spring.
which is nice. I've actually been wearing jeans for the first time in 6 months. So
This weather, man. Not me, although I'm in a flannel today. It's a bit overcast and raining, but man, it's been so hot,
yeah,
so sad. I'm
it's
missing the seasons, I tell you what.
yeah, it's
So,
nice.
so you're in America, you're just there for some rest and relaxation, R&R in the
Um,
formal corporate world.
yep. I've been
Poor
sleeping lots
bastard.
and hanging out and watching movies and taking it easy, and it's been good, man.
See,
Big change of
that's what
pace.
he gets from coming off the farm. He needs a whole month of relaxation, poor
Yeah, I
bastard.
know, right? My aches and pains are starting to come out. Yeah,
Unlike me, look, I've been beaten up by a dog for cut there. He's My fingers are all cut up. We've got a little puppy German Shepherd, everyone, and whoo, they're high
uh,
energy.
not that
But we love
little.
him. Not
He's
that little
very
anymore.
cool.
Hey, so before I start my I think positively charged rant for the day, everyone, you're going
All
to be
right.
excited. I'm going to follow up on my rant because I don't just dump them on you and then not think about them deeply afterwards. So, but first, I want to say thank you because I received the most amazing gift in the mail. And you know how I was having a
No.
whinge and a bitch the other day about
And
how,
no one sends you anything.
why does
No.
Campbell always get all the presents? He's always getting all these excellent, cool things. But anyway, all that's over now because I've received such a cool present. I can't believe it. Shall I show you?
Very cool. Yes. Show
Are you
us.
ready, everyone? Someone has taken the time and energy to paint a portrait. And I just couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was just like so touched and honored. Honestly, it's in the lounge room and I stare at it all the time, going, wow, it's just so amazing that someone would sit there and actually paint pictures like this. I mean, ultimately, it's a lifestyle that I also move in and out of because when I was going through disclosure in 2020, I did the whole first 6 months just painting. I just painted disclosure and experience and everything that was going on. And all those paintings I did ended up being translated into banners and all went off to all the protests and all the marches because they're all like relevant to what was going on. So yeah, so check this out, everyone.
Woohoo.
How amazing is that? This
Yeah.
is me on the farm. Like, I mean, and you know what's so amazing? I think he's done an amazing job. Like, how good is that?
It's awesome, isn't it? It's
So
got the
this comes
shed
from
in
an
there.
artist called MAAAX. Do you know Max's last name?
I think, is it Steel? Max? We just call him Max.
Well, Max, you did an absolutely amazing job. And I'll tell you what's so super cool about it. This is obviously like cements a beautiful forever painting of our farm. Like I just am so touched. And you can see in the background, he's even added like the fairy tale Tartaria realm up the top there, which is
Yeah.
just the superest coolest thing ever. Right down to the very last detail, the tree, the telephone wire. I'm just like blown away by it. So,
Yeah.
Max, this is by far the coolest present anyone's ever made for me. I just think it is amazing. And like I fucking love it. And it's gonna go into my studio and just be there forever. And I'm just thinking, wow, like I'm blessed and
Cool.
honored and thank you so much. I don't
Yeah.
know, where's your one, Campbell? Because you
My-
got a painting.
yeah, I did. Mine's in Perth because Max is from Perth. And when
Ah.
I was there, he's like, should I bring it over? And I'm like, yeah, bring it over. And then I got it. And then I thought, how am I going to get it back over to the east? So yeah, when I get my little abode set up, I'll get it sent over. But he's also done Martin, Leedke, and Jason from Archaics and a few other people. And his channel is called Alias. So go and check it out. He actually shows the videos of when he's painting them and everything. And he
What
does
a
a lot of,
legend.
it's all airbrushing. He does a lot of airbrushing for cars and that, but yeah, all the portraits are airbrush as well. So
I know, he's
it's
a freaking
amazing job.
legend.
Yeah, isn't he?
So just carefully don't damage that.
Yes. And I better
Um,
say, I've been meaning to mention this for a few weeks now. Oh gosh, come on. Oh, now I'm disappeared. Oh, it's a show. It's a book. It's called 101 Demolished Old World Buildings. Demolished Buildings in the Old World, North America by Chris Kelly. And I did speak to Chris, but I've forgotten, Chris, where I spoke, what platform I spoke to you on. So if you see this, send me a message and give me the link so that I can put it out there and let people know where to go and pick it up.
See, fucking humans are cool, right? This is where I get my positive attitude. It always comes down to humans just being cool. Like,
Mm,
there's no way around it. This world really sucks right now because we're in this sort of like dense environment. But man, humanity, individual humans, they just rock. I love people. I love humans. Fucking love humans, man. And
yeah,
our creativity, it's like, wow, when we're in a state of creativity, when we give ourselves permission and time to do that and we like prioritize it, gosh, we do amazing things. Like I can see why the powers that are trying to suppress all this would be freaked out by humanity's potential and ability because
yeah,
it's so big, it's so bright, it's so light, it's so beautiful. Like back in go human beings.
yeah,
You are my salvation. I swear to God.
yeah. Yeah,
I swear to
man.
God.
And it's the creativity, right? And the imagination that really scares them, that they really, really want to suppress. So,
Yeah.
keep creating, guys. Be imaginative and be awesome. And
Well, I'm touched and honored and like would love to return something cool. I just have to think about it. So
wow,
we're
maybe you'll have to do the first portrait of Max.
well
You're an artist.
my portraits tend to be faceless, but I'll give it a shot. No, it's going to be fun. I'm definitely going to reopen my studio soon enough. I think it's just definitely been
It's
missing from my realm.
it's
You don't
been
buy a
doing a long
farm
time.
and have
Yeah,
time to paint. I swear to God, that's like year 7, like when you've got through the basic survival elements like build a toilet, etc. Yeah,
yeah,
but I'm excited. I think he's reinvigorated my curiosity. I always think because I always go into these massive like I do like 2 years of painting nonstop, and I was doing the big murals on big buildings and stuff. And then I'll stop because I've bought a new farm, and then like nothing happens apart from being a builder. And then I get throw myself back in it, and I just love it. I've always lived in my studios, and I've always been immersed with paint and color, which is an interesting thing because I was talking to you just before you left about I watched this cool little clip, and I should find it about the fact that the world is literally becoming monochromatic. We're literally moving into this, and it's happened really in the last 2 decades as like e-commerce has exploded. What's
yeah,
happened in the e-commerce environment is the corporations, the designers, the artists, the innovators, the business heads have like basically analyzed what sells best to the most amount of people. And as a response to that, all the colors have been removed, all the variations, because you don't want to like limit your audience, and it's sort of turned into black, white, and gray. And we've had like across the whole realm, 60s, 70s, kind of easing out in the 80s, like you'd have all sorts of colored cars. There'd be
yeah.
colored cars
Cars,
in all
man.
direction. Now
Mm,
it's white, black, and gray.
pretty much.
And then fashion, in the 60s was like fucking hardcore. It was crazy patterns and all sorts
Tie
of things. And
dye.
then into the 70s, went to the glam rock stage, and it was all sort of glitter and blah, blah, blah. Into the 80s, where we hit the fluoros. Remember the
Yeah,
fluoros?
man. Hypercolor.
Man,
Yeah.
hypercolor. Did you used to have one of those t-shirts where you could
You put
like,
your
if it
hand
got
on it.
wet? Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking, they were cool, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we were so easily entertained back then. Uh, so even fashion has also reflected this. So now you go in and you look around, and really, you don't see many people wearing many colors these days. Like you've got to make an effort to sort of dress yourself in colors. And like then you go into the cities and it's just black, black, black and white everywhere. And
Yeah,
then right down to
man.
the
Yeah.
buildings. We've got these, really everything's been replaced by black, white, and gray shops, skyscrapers,
Yeah.
buildings, interiors.
Interiors of, yeah, they used to all be colors and like chandeliers and stained glass and all these cool natural products. And now it's, yeah, it's just white walls, basically,
Yeah.
white doors.
Yep.
It's,
Yep.
yeah, man. They're again, right? They're attacking our imagination. I think our creativity, trying to tone it down.
Definitely. The impact of lack of color has a really big impact on our neurology and our perception of reality. Like it's really important
It
that
is.
we get out from seeing white. Like if you work in an office space and you're just like in white walls with fluoros, and then you're in a city and you're like on the in the tarmac of the black cement and blah blah, blah, like it does affect your neurology. And I think
Mm,
probably like being on the land is productive for that, because at least like you've got to go outside and you're hit by the colors of nature. But
yeah.
at the end of the day, even with nature, people don't sort of make a big effort to plant, to paint with trees or flowers anymore, like it's sort of that sort of was like a
Mm,
90s thing. Our grandparents used to do that. They'd
yeah.
like,
These
plan out all the
flowers and
colored.
everything and all that. But and the other thing is, our vision, right? Like we've got a
Yep.
spectrum of vision from purple to red, and everyone's sort of talking about seeing more and where we go past that, those sort of boundaries of color. But what we're being fed is the opposite, right? I mean, even the
Yep.
sun's gone white, man. It's lost its color too.
Yep, that's
It's
right. Yep, I
crazy.
know. I know. We used to all draw pictures of a yellow sun. But if we were
Mm,
to do it today as a 5-year-old, that sun's not yellow. You wouldn't even know that the sun was ever
no,
meant to be yellow.
yeah,
It's pretty white.
yeah, you don't have to color in, just draw a circle, man. And like, there you go, it's white, see? Just like the paper.
So, and actually, I was reading an article last night, and they were talking about in America specifically, they're introducing all these purple street lights. Have you seen that? Where they're like literally replacing the
Oh,
street
yeah.
light glow, that sort of orangey glow with
Yeah.
purple fluoro. And like it's all sort of designed to impact the neuro pathways, this purple light. But also it enables they were talking about, when if you chipped or something, they can see it under this purple light. It's the light that they use to see
Okay.
that sort of invisible realm. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's just interesting as well, purples and
Yeah. I remember in all the like the service stations or the gas stations, in the toilets, they changed them all to purple because they
yeah,
didn't want, because apparently you can't see your veins in there because people were going in and shooting up on that. So
yep, yep,
yeah,
yep.
can't see as much of ourselves anymore. It's
There's a lot to say about color. There's a lot to say about our perception based on color. I mean, ultimately, I was watching another thing where this guy he'd gone on this. What was he? Oh, he was basically saying that he died, he'd gone to heaven, and then he was describing his experience in heaven. And one of the things that was blowing his mind was that there was colors that he'd never seen before. Like literally, he he didn't have a word for it. He couldn't explain it. And then I was watching another thing because I've sort of deep dives this week. On this thing called the back rooms. Have you
yes,
heard
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah,
that?
yeah. The
I
back
think I'm a
rooms.
bit behind the times on the back rooms
Yeah,
because I've
yeah,
only
yeah,
just like heard about it. But
yeah.
like, so explain to me what you know about the back rooms.
It's this place that some people say they've gone to, and it's like another realm. It reminds me of the Matrix when the architect and he sort of goes,
Mm.
there's back rooms in there, but yeah, but there's different levels, and one of them's like an office level or something, and then there's all these sort of different levels of these back rooms that you go into, and yeah, it's yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like it's behind
Yeah, I
the
mean, I
stage, right? The
was
backstage.
it based was it based on a like people's experiences, or was it based on like a TV series? I don't know where the origin of the concept came from.
I think it was just people's experiences, as far as I know.
Right.
Like the closest thing I know, like I said, is the Matrix. But as far as I know, it was people were going in and then coming back out and saying they'd been stuck in these weird realms. And there was, I think, most of it, there's no other beings or anything. But then I think in one of them, there's sort of scary things that chase you around.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
watched two versions of it. And one guy had entered it via the dark net, like he'd actually done it via
Oh
his
wow.
computer. Like he physically wasn't in it, but his computer was in it. And then it was giving him all these cryptic links that he was pressing on, and it was taking him to these back rooms, and there was awful, terrible, scary shit in there. But like what was freaking him out was and he was trying to describe it, that there was like beings that were freaky themselves, kind of like kind of look like robotic kind of beings, but that they were moving in a way that he had like they were moving in a sort of, he explained it like we go left or right, forward or back, and they were moving in those directions all at once. That there was movement in these beings that we don't have the capacity to do, or even perceive, even be able to like put it into any sort of cognitive thought process. And so that was one thing I watched. And the other one was just sort of like that he just sort of like was suddenly there in physical person into this yellow corridors, just like it looked like an empty yellow car park / office block, and he was just moving around and he couldn't find the exit, and then there was just like things in the background and weird graffiti, and I mean, I was looking at thinking, wow, this could just be the next version of the Blair Witch Project, or paranormal activity. That's sort of like, but conceptually, like why couldn't it also be based on fact? I mean, literally this sort of internal world within the world of reality, and kind of with sort of freaky shit.
Yeah, if it's a simulation, it would sort of go along with that, right? There's got to be some kind of place that the simulation is created or projected from, which you would think would be some kind of back room. They kind of touch on it a little bit in like the Truman Show, like he's in his little world, and then he sort of gets up and goes through that door. We don't see where he goes. But it's an interesting concept, isn't it? Like if it is projected, then where's it being projected from, right? And who's writing the program? Like, is that, like I said, it's like the backstage, right? We know this is all a show. So it's just,
It's a
going
backstage.
backstage.
We can't linger on this one too much because I'll get fucking grumpy again. And I'll get like pissed off and cynical again. So I can't talk about the back rooms as a
What are your
possibility.
happy thoughts that you've had?
All right. So as we know, last week I did deliver a really big rant about feeling basically very fed up and cynical about all that was happening, and that we basically knew nothing. And there was no like way of really knowing anything. And that's just bullshit, that we're in that situation. And even if that's the aim of the game, it's just getting bullshit now. Like, so that was my rant from last week. And sorry, everyone. Hope I didn't depress anyone. Like, just what it is. But then I sat down and I kept going over it in my head, because I weirded myself out, Campbell. And when I weird myself out, I have to like think about it, and I have to think about it, and I have to keep thinking about it. And I just have to keep going with it until I've like found some way of cognitively, finding, I don't even know, like a buoyancy with the topic again. Because like, unfortunately, the topics you and I talk about, they're basically all consuming foundations of reality. You know what I mean? So like, if I fucking weird myself out, that is not good for my reality.
Reality, yeah. It's true, man. And that's why that's why I like, Tartaria, right? Because so many of these topics are weird, but a lot of them are just bad, right? And then you can spiral down if you get too far into them, and you can end up thinking the world's bad. And if you do that, then you end up creating a bad world to live in. And then it's, you got to pull yourself out somehow.
Well, yes. So anyway, okay, yes, I agree with you, because like it's no good like being in conflict with your actual existence. Like, it's just, where's that gonna lead? Campbell, you said the word nihilistic to me the other day, and I said, yeah, I mean, I guess it leads me to a nihilistic place, I guess. But like it didn't feel quite like utterly disastrous.
No, well, May, I think we create our reality. So that's why you've got to find, stop and smell the roses, find the good stuff, and focus on that, and then it's like the never-ending story and everything. Stopping the nothingness. You got to find something good and turn it into a creation, and expand on that.
Yes, all wise, lofty words, Campbell. Wise, lofty words. I mean, he's had to deal with me ranting and raving and oscillating on this pathway forever. But anyway, so upon thinking about it deeper and deeper and deeper, I just let my mind just go in all directions, and I pulled in content from all over the place and just sort of like tied it all up in a nice pretty bow and was like, all right, okay, I can work with this. I can work with this. So here is the latest update on my cynical attitude towards reality. So instead of, because, we've been debating the whole Satan Christianity thing, we've been going back and forth with that, back and forth with that. And just to summarize for everyone, basically the argument's very strong for both of those things to be real and in our existence. Obviously, we feel like we live in a very demonic state of mind and state of reality. And, the whole Christian influence with what comes out of the Bible and the speakers that talk from the perspective of the Bible, they're so very convincing. There's a lot of evidence there that sort of makes it feel absolutely tangible. And then you've got to go through this like freaky moment of going, well, if I don't accept that concept, like then I'm like, where does that place me? And what's coming? So it's a really interesting dance. I thoroughly recommend you all go on your little journey with the Christian Satan realm, because it's better than any Netflix series currently out there. Like, you really do. And honestly, the content looking at both sides is very convincing. It's very convincing. Because we live in a specific realm that's meant to convince you. So here's how I've shifted my paradigm. I've taken out the metaphors. I've taken out the stories. I've taken out the characters. Big one. I've taken out the characters because last week my rant was that like none of these characters are viable or provable. Like, yes, you can perceive them through all these stories and metaphors and all this evidence, but literally no one's ever seen these two characters in reality, and and all evidence you have of them is quite subjective. Like, and it requires faith, right, in both directions. In fact, it feels like that's even where faith came from, that concept. I don't know.
Yeah. Like Georgie Boy said, you got to have faith, but that's one of the tenets of especially Christianity, right? Is the faith. And that's because there is no object, no one has, evidence that we can all sort of, feel and interact with of God or even the devil being here, being real, influencing us. We can see it. It's all up. We see it in, God in the creation, and we see the devil in bad stuff people do. But when it comes down to it, it's actually people doing good stuff and bad stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like it's visually very convincing, because we literally, since forever, we have been presented with visuals of both, like visuals all the time, these visuals. And, everyone, you would be very hard pressed to come up with someone who doesn't, if someone says you, what is God, what is Satan, for them not to be instantly represented the same way across the whole realm. That there's, this light being full of light and coming down from the heavens, and then this dark, devilish red being that's like full of destruction and torture coming up from the earth, and that's like basically across the whole world, because it's like, and it's just the same with Santa Claus, like everyone has a visual on Santa Claus now, and that's that. All right. So what I did was I took away the characters. I took away Jesus. I took away Lucifer. I took away Christ. I took away the devil. I took away the mythology that encounters all of them, and I took away the whole concept of them being actual physical beings that existed as characters in this narrative. And then I was left with the idea of charge.
Yes.
So positive and negative charge. And then as soon as I started thinking about charge, I was like, all right, this is going to work way better for me. Because what it does say is that we have, like, so when we talk about the reset, the last reset, from this beautiful, glorious Tartarian culture that we've been studying with such glee and joy, and that we're all sort of agreeing on the same things, that they were a high-vibing culture because what they built was very high-vibing, beautiful engineering, cymatics, the harmonies, the bells, the vibration, the water, all that stuff. So one would assume that was a very, like, if you look at it from a positive or a negative charge, that was a positively charged culture.
Yes, definitely. That's what it looks like.
And then we enter the this period that we're in right now. And, one would say, I think everyone would agree on this realm, that we are in essentially a negatively charged reality.
Yes, I
That
would agree.
yep, we do great. So we experience, and for the whole time, I think the last, 1,000 years, there has been no war for like 200 days or something in like 1,000 years. Like
Yeah, yeah.
we're in a like negatively charged realm. That's why the whole economy is based on sex and perversion. That's why we've got the whole corruption of innocence and children. That's why you're put under so much stress when it comes to surviving and being financially viable and buying a house, all that shit. And then all of the bombardment of the whole Satan energetic from all the Hollywood music, blah, 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 blah. You guys all know this. Right? We're in a negatively, and also all the leaders run all of that. I don't think you would be able to say, find me one leader where you would say for sure that's a positively charged being.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you can think of?
Not at all. No. The only thought I
Mm.
just got was I did see an article or some information on a leader. I think it was from Venezuela, and he like just lived in a normal house and drove like a VW Beetle that was like 40 years
Oh
old
yeah,
because he wanted to help the people. But most of them, even the good people, they all come from they're either lawyers or they're businessmen. That they're fully into the system, and when you're that way, it's very money orientated and power orientated and
yeah,
all this. Yeah, so no, I'd say I know, don't know any of
yeah.
them.
All right, so this is why I think this is it, right? This is why I think this is the case. So when we flipped from the last reset, we went from a positively charged experience to a negatively charged experience.
Yeah.
So what that would look like in my head from this concept is that we had a pole shift. And that when that pole shifted, it starts to amplify the negative or the positive charge.
Mm.
So like, and actually Jay was talking about this in regards to the Dark Ages. And he was talking about this amazing, well, I found it amazing because it just fits so much into this theory that the Dark Ages sort of were the birthing of the Dark Ages came with this pestilence, this disease, these black plagues that sort of washed over the realm and just like completely killed millions and millions of people. Like that
Mm.
pestilence, that disease, it's so in alignment with the stories around the devil, Satan being released and like his army of darkness is descending on the world and
Yeah.
destroying it. And, it's the same. So, but like if you flip from a positively charged realm, pole shift, to a negatively charged realm, what's going to happen? So, what happens is that anyone who's like a negatively charged individual or a soul group, and like I'm not judging negative or positive. Basically, I'm not saying positive is better than negative because that is the reality of being in a polarized realm.
Yeah.
Like we're literally in a polarized realm of negative and positive. And that's
Mm.
why we have light and dark, up and down, Sherlock chasing the chickens. Oi. Um, so like if you flip the poles from a positive charge realm to a negative charge realm, any individual who's charged negatively is going to be amplified. They're
Yes.
literally going to find their powers are activated and they're regenerated and rejuvenated by this hit of energy that's a match for their alignment, right?
Yeah.
And all those, because we always say, what happened to this culture that was so advanced, Tartaria? How did it happen that, and we always think like there must have been a parasitic agenda that came in and destroyed it or took over someone cleverer or something like this. But what happens if the poles just shifted and then the positively charged culture, those in charge, were literally all their energy was suddenly removed from them. So
Yeah.
they had so they're starting to deplete. They're starting to not be regenerated. So the ones that are being charged naturally are amplified. And what happens there? They become more powerful,
Yep.
right? They become more charged until they're supercharged, until they become the ones in charge,
Yes. Exactly,
literally the
man.
leaders, and
Yeah.
then they create what they create as the ones in charge, and then the pole shifts again, which
Mm.
gives us this certainty of this timeline shift. Like we're always certain there's going to be a cyclic reset.
Yep.
Always. It's always, this story that just rotates. So then we get the collapse of the positive charge realm
Yep.
because they've lost all their power.
Yeah.
And then you've got the rise of the negatively charged realm because they've gained all the power. And
Yeah.
then,
Totally.
and so so from that perspective, what's happened? So then I was broadening it, right? So we've got like this realm, and then in the middle of it, there's like Maru, or there's whatever word you want to put it. There's the four islands, the mount, the
Yep.
center point, or the
Hyperborea.
pole,
Yep.
and then the rivers that go off from the 4 islands, and then we've got the broader realm which we live in now, and then the Arctic ice wall, right?
Yes.
So if you've got a pole like coming from that center point, and it instead of like dancing together like this, which would be harmony and balance, right? It's actually swinging, boom. It's very extreme from our side, like from the outer realms. We get this full on pole shift from negative to positive, but at the center, it starts to balance out and neutralize because it's like quicker. So at the center of all this, it's like speed. It's much speedier. So what looks like this at the center is now dancing like this. So you've got this much speedier and then much more balanced. So you've got the individuals that can maintain their charge regardless of the shift in the pole, because they're right at the center of it, and they're like, it's much speedier. Where we are, time changes as the poles change, right? The time gets affected and the extremity happens. So if you take all of that into consideration, and then we take away all the fucking stories and just look at it from an electromagnetic grid, or whatever word you want to put on it, we are about to flip from a negatively charged realm to a positively charged realm.
Yep. Totally agree.
And that charge comes with natural events, like big natural catastrophes, natural events, and probably some trippy shit that we haven't even ever reconciled before. But at the end of that, those who survive it, if you're positively charged, you're feeling essentially naturally regenerated, like naturally rejuvenated, naturally more powerful.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we get this, there's a lot of talk about the 1,000-year reign of Christ, and then, the devil gets loosed for 200 years, but it's the same story, right? It's how you look at it. One's a positive charge, and then the negative charge, and then the positive, and it's the sine wave, right?
Yes.
The sine wave and the cycle. And it's the same with us, like on a smaller scale. It's if we focus on the negative and the bad, well, we put that in charge, right, of our thoughts. It's in charge because we
And
charge
even more, and if you do that in a negatively charged realm and you have negative thoughts,
that's why it's easier, like for starters, for negative people they're empowered, right? So they naturally have more power, like they're finding it easier to take over and all this kind of stuff. But when it flips, it'll be the opposite, because we're always going to have good and bad. It's just, we have these cycles where, the positive's more charged and then the negative is more charged. So we just flip and flip and flip. I agree totally that I think that's what's happening. And I think that's sort of what all the religious stories do talk about, but they turn them into characters, like you said, and sort of people and stories where they're just trying to explain the greater realm and the energies that are going around. And so, a lot of these, people we read about, in different books and stuff aren't necessarily people. We hear the word archetypes a lot, and that, I think that's what they are. They're just representative of the people that are charged the most, that are in charge. So when it's a positive charge, it's the millennial reign, right? And Jesus is down here with all the saints and all this kind of stuff. And then when it flips, that's when the devil gets loosed, right? Which is what we're told. And it's just that negative energy. And then so we end up with these negative people running the show. But clearly, Tartaria, they weren't negatively charged, because there's way too much creativity and beauty around for it to be created by a negative force.
And in Tartaria, they were really, it appears that they were very focused in on maintaining a certain vibration. And because that's where I think all the giant bells came to play, and all the cymatics, and just the whole way the structures of the engineering were designed to generate the organs. This is like a sound, and the gulfs of the cathedrals, like it's all about holding that sound vibration. So maybe like they used that to like charge themselves once they were in this negatively charged realm. And then we've got like this like deliberate destruction of all the bells, and like all the organs were dismantled and moved, like all those pieces of engineering that they're simple, beautiful engineering of the instruments, like got very deliberately destroyed and removed. Like anything that would cause like a a positively charged vibration, yes,
Mm.
like has been destroyed. And
Yeah.
then you've got like all of their efforts in this negative charged realm to basically create technology that interferes with your vibration
Yes. Well,
and
yeah.
frequency.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, all these negative, things we have now, like the Wi-Fi and all this radiation and all this kind of stuff. I mean, we don't know that that's not charging these negative people, right? Like we sort of
It
talk about, well, why
does.
would they do it? Isn't it affecting them as well? Well, maybe it is, but in a good way for them, right? It's
In a
charging
superpower way
them.
for them.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's just like the bells and everything. The frequencies used to
Yep.
charge you good people. Now it's got to be a negative charge to empower negative people.
Exactly. And then if you look at like, I was even watching this excellent woman from Canada doing the biggest rant. She's better than me. She did a better rant. And she was talking about the mobile phone and she was just like, what happens, do you think, when like you send an email and it just disappears from your phone and then it's beeped somewhere else? Like, what exactly is going on there in your head? Like, you think that somewhere out there, someone's built the technology to enable you to do this and this is what's happening, but zero comprehension. She's like, you understand that this is bioengineering. Like they are literally drawing charge from your biofield to make this technology work. Your phone works because of you. And then she went on this amazing explanation, which I'm not going to be able to paraphrase right now, because it went into the land of biofields and
Biofields, yeah.
bioengineering. And I was just like, fucking yes. Like everything that they do is designed. Well, they do, meaning everyone who is supercharged in this negatively realm. So that negatively charged individual, so service to self, I guess is another way to put it. They like create technology that emphasizes the negative charge and disparatizes the positive charge.
Mm.
So when I get cynical about the bullshit, I think it's because I definitely know I'm a positively charged individual and that like I've definitely geared my life towards being in service to others and just this realm and trying to make everything as good as it could possibly be and then getting pissed off about it. So when you talk to me about this is it. This is where I get cynical, right? When we go on about create your reality, manifestation, la la la, lofty, 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 all the things I've heard for the last 2,000 million years in my research on this. It doesn't work very well. Because we're in a negatively charged realm, Campbell
It
Purvis.
is, and we hear it all the time. How come it's always the bad people that get up into power, right? It's because that they're charged. They've got and that's why, like, well, how come the good people always find it so hard? It's because yeah, we're fighting against it.
Yes.
We're not empowered by the energy around us.
That's right.
Mm.
So when we sit down to do positive manifestation work, you might manage something. You might get a little bit of something out of that. But actually, like if you did a satanic ritual, a negatively charged ritual, you would probably, attract $1,000 million. $1,000 million. It's like an
Well,
oxymoron.
yeah,
But
look at
but
Tay
like
Street, right?
yeah, so they've done so like obviously we know with the music industry like they do rituals and incantations on all master CDs, all master songs CDs that doesn't exist, all masters that go out into the world right today.
Yeah.
And it's all had ritual manifestation on it. So when we talk about create your reality, it's manifestation work. But when they talk about create your reality, it's rituals and incantations, right? And so when they do it, like they'll go ahead and sell 1 billion of these,
Yeah.
songs, like make shitloads of money. And have you ever met, like seriously, a CEO of any corporation on this realm who is not negatively charged? Like, could those CEOs to create a situation and grow, and then the billions and the millions, they are negatively charged individuals, and their corporations do negatively charged things to this realm. And when they like start to feel bad about it, it seriously lasts 1 second.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Mr. Musk, right? He's kind of put out there as he's here to help us all and everything with all this stuff. But when you look into his technology, it's all to do with controlling other people and negatively
Yeah.
taking away people's power. And it's so easy. Like exactly. And why is he? They say he's the richest man in the world. I don't believe that, but why is it so easy for him? Why is he so young and he's
Yeah.
suddenly got all these different companies and it's so easy and because he's using the power, and he's a good conduit for negative energy, and that's why they all
Exactly.
work with it. That's what all the witchcraft is, all the rituals. They're just, you know,
Exactly.
and there's negative people everywhere, but the ones who understand that this is what's going on and use it, they find everything easy, even though
So
it's,
true.
to us it's bad.
Yes, exactly. And they look beautiful.
Yeah.
They look amazing, you know, all those things because they're innocent, because the negatively charged individual has been so supercharged and activated, like they're nourished. They're
Yeah.
regenerating and rejuvenating. And then you've got all of the positively charged individuals who live in this negative charge realm. And mate, we look a bit raggedy. We look a bit raggedy, you know, we look a little like weather worn.
Yeah.
Um, there's
Disheveled.
life to us. Don't get me wrong about the vitality, but you know, generally speaking, it's a much more difficult slog to like get yourself into a positive situation, to get yourself financially positive and not in debt is like virtually impossible
Mm,
these days for positively charged individuals, like because we are not able to feed off the energy. It does not charge us. So,
mm.
and then of course all this talk about diet, Campbell, we don't know what the fuck to eat because we are like having to supplement our energy because we are not getting nourished from the charge.
Yeah. Yeah, the light, right? The light diet. Like they talk about food being ninth down the list of what of our nourishment, right? So if we're not, getting that energy that's around us and using that, if we can't absorb that easily, then yeah, that's why there's all this dis-ease, right? And everyone's sick and there's all,
Yep.
getting diseases and
Yep.
breaking and all this kind of stuff. It's
Yep.
because they're feeding themselves with what they need, right? The right charge. And it's like the chakras, right? It's interesting that the bottom chakra is red, right? Just like the devil. Top
Yep.
chakra is white, the white
Yep.
light, just like God. So it's this movement, it's in everything, I think. And it's interesting as well that the heart's in the middle when they say get heart centered, get heart centered. Because that would be the neutral kind of balance, right? Balance point. And I'm not sure if that's. I think the effect of the outside is going to overpower that all the time. Like it's good to try and get neutral, but really, like we just happen to have been born in a time that up until now we've been surrounded by the wrong charge. And but I think there's a change coming. I
Totally.
really do.
I'm
Like that's what I see. It's about to flip. And we had a bit of a conversation the other day about the sine wave and when does it flip? And I think it's at the top of the sine wave. So we literally go
yep.
from the worst
Yep.
and then suddenly to the best. It's not like
Yep.
this we have to go through
I
down
agree.
kind of stuff. It's like gets really, really bad and then bang, it's really, really good.
Yeah. Because you start at the top of the apex of the
Mm,
pyramid and then you've got to de-evolve.
yeah.
So down, then you like cross over, then you've got to re-evolve. So I
Mm,
guess it's symbiotic. Like, even though right now nothing in this realm charges us, and it's true, like you might be lucky enough to find a place in nature that still is emitting some form of positive charge that actually reinvigorates you. And
mm,
and I'll talk about that in a second because that was the next part of this idea. Um, but then you've got like for us, everything that we are being asked to do to like charge ourselves has been fucking poison. so
mm.
even like and like what a game. A game like for the negatively charged. But then talk about it in the flip side. Like what's going to happen? Like we flip over to this positive charge realm. All of the positive charged souls are going to like activate and suddenly feel amazing. And all of this torture and torment from our personalities will be gone. Like that's the other thing, right? We live in a realm where we actually have epic amounts of trauma and ancestral trauma like we just carry as a burden from the day we're born. Like
Yeah.
it's just in there and it's a fragmentation of our personality, right? And then you
Mm,
got all these negative vibrations coming in to fragment it further and further to the point where you get to your 20s and like you're just full of fragments, you know? So like and this is what happens as we grow up. So like in a moment of flipping over to the positive charge realm, I fully believe that we will suddenly all that will be released. All that fragmentation will be released and it will all come together and
yeah.
vroom. And then from that wholeness will come this regeneration process. And I think all of the fragmentation and the trauma and the crazy chatter in our monkey minds would just be gone, like in a
Yeah.
second.
Well, I was
Like
just
in a
going to
second.
say, like when we talk about, self-talk and the chatter in your mind, like you never hear someone saying, oh, I've just got too much good stuff going on. Like
Yeah.
all I get told about
No,
is I'm going to win and how everything's easy. It's always
no.
negative because
Yeah.
that's the charge. But yeah, when it
You're a
flips, and we'll just
loser.
find things easy, right? Things will just be easy. You'll try and do something and whoa, it'll just be
Yeah.
happening. And that's why we have to spend so much time on all this stuff, meditation and sun gazing and all this stuff, but you never hear about any of the ones in power doing any of this stuff, do you? Like they don't have to
No,
because they're just in the right
of
energy.
course.
Yeah.
So we've got like we've got this situation right now where there's so little that can actually like nourish us. So what appears to in our mind is those good positively charged individuals are aging quicker, and they're getting less they're just getting less healthy, and it's like you could be the most disciplined, because in order to get through this timeline as a positively charged individual, there has to be a level of like fucking discipline going on, because you're forced to actually do way more work to maintain just the
Yep.
humblest vibration of well-being, you
Mm.
know.
It's
So
so easy to follow the negative charge, right? I mean, look at TV and all the moves and the music. It's people, get into it and get attracted to the negative stuff so easily, right?
oh
But when it's happy, positive stuff, we just don't seem to have that drive that we're drawn towards it. It seems to
yeah,
be all the negative stuff that's easy
yeah.
to get into. So yeah, I agree,
And then
mate.
you go back to the color spectrum, like monochromatic and reds are like an excellent, like negatively charged color palette.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Whereas a positively charged color palette will explode in colors and additional colors that we haven't seen for a long time. Okay. So conceptually, then I was like going into the mythology of the two stories, right?
yeah,
The two storylines.
yep,
And, in the biblical storylines, everything falls from the heavens. God comes down from the heavens, the
yep,
devil falls from the heavens,
yep.
the fallen angels come down from the heavens. And when the fallen angels come down from the heavens, it's full of brimstone and fire. It's full of red skies and red oceans and red dust and fire and black. And that's what comes down
Mm.
classically from a biblical sense, but like way back through the artwork that you and I've looked at so much. Like it's always got some fire, things shit coming down, beasts, like it's always coming down from the heavens,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Book of
yeah,
Miracles. Mm.
yeah. But like if that's the negatively charged disposition, then the positively charged disposition comes up from the ground, right? And the colors of the positively charged is blue. It's like blue, like this my tat here. It's like that sort of, you know, um, kind of like in
Electric
aquarish.
blue. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it's got a blue light. So hello, Campbell. Why are we seeing blue light coming up from all the pyramids?
Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Why the
Okay.
pyramids connected to this process, and they harness light from underground, not from above, from the heavens,
Yeah, yeah.
but from
Good point.
underground and up and out,
Yeah.
like, and all my whole life, I've had dreams where there is blue balls of energy coming off my hands.
Nice.
Always this blue electrical charge, like coming, it's always that color blue, nothing to do with fucking red. Like it's always that blue, right? And then if you sort of you think about the indigenous, what is about them that like sort of aligns them to sort of like something we all feel, not being able to put it into words, but we all sort of feel a natural like honoring towards them, like a natural like there's something here that like is closer to something I should be closer to, like there's like this sort of, you can sense it, right? You don't know what
Mm,
quite, but I think it's because their whole process has never removed them off the earth.
mm.
So the earth itself would be the one in alignment with the positive charge,
Yeah,
that the
yeah.
energy is coming from up from the underground.
Yeah, I mean, it
And
makes
so,
sense, right? It's almost like those, what are those balls that you touch and all the electricity
yeah,
flowing to your finger?
I
It's
used
all
to
coming
love
out
them. Yeah.
from the middle. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Very 80s.
Yeah, very 80s. Yeah, yeah.
I should buy Charlie one. She'll be like, what the fuck is
What
this?
is that, man? What's this antique tech?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Because what do we do as positively charged individuals to survive such a negatively charged realm? We return to nature, right? We
Yeah.
ground ourselves in nature. It's always
Grounding,
about going back to nature and grounding.
natural
Always
food.
about
Yeah.
grounding,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's where the positive charge is, right?
Yeah, and at the moment we see a lot, especially now that a lot of the trees and vegetation is dying. And that's all coming, like that. So are they going to get empowered and pests, right? Like we have all this food and everything, but it's just attacked, right, by these negative, perceived negative, forces, right, that destroy all the positive that's coming up. So clearly, the
Fuck yeah.
positive energy is having an issue, blossoming, right, if you want to put it that way. But it's also like we're going to the Bosnian pyramid, right? And that it's got underground tunnels and they're healing tunnels all underground, right? Which is where maybe all the energy is good or at least better.
But so that leads us to the discussion about like this whole storyline we've been taught about the undergrounds and they're being very negative and very bad and very
I
military. And
was
we've got all
thinking
the
about that.
reptilian
Yeah,
and
all the
all the
underground
fucking monsters and
cities.
the kids, like all this connection with the undergrounds being the worst of the scariest, you know?
Okay.
But I don't know, like if it's held, and then of course you've got the story about the devil or Lucifer being cast down onto the earth and then imprisoned in an endless hole within the earth.
Yep.
That's a story we're told.
Yep. Hell, fiery hell. It's all below us, right? They tell us.
But that is like could be also just a metaphor for like the shift in the poles. Like when we shift from a positively to a negative or a negative to a positive, then we've literally that negative energy, is sort of held in the belly of the positive energy
Mm.
for a time.
Well,
And then we've got
yeah.
the sorry, go on.
I was going to say we've got underground cities and stuff everywhere, and all these tombs and things are all underground. Is that but they're all vacant at the moment, right? They're empty. Is that what because that in the past that was the most positively charged areas, and is the reason they tell us that hell's below us because they don't want us going down and thinking that's the good place. They don't
And
want
they
us to
tell
get
us
onto it.
heaven is above us.
Yeah, and
Heaven with
everything's
God is
flipped,
in.
right? We know everything's flipped. So yeah.
So I mean, and that's so then you take the whole biblical story or the satanic story, and it's a byproduct of the negatively charged realm.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
it's a byproduct as we are being taught it and perceived it in this moment in time, it has to be obscured by the negative charge. It's
Mm.
got to be. So you've got like this negatively charged concept that God is in heaven above, always into space
Space.
above,
Yeah.
into space above. And yet we've got this beautiful earth that we know supercharges us and we know is probably our salvation and savior at
Mm.
this time for people like us. Like, there's no way I could thrive energetically in a city structure because there's
Mm.
nothing there charging me at all. It's just a real struggle for me to be in the city when I was looking after my friend. I got no charge there.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Like, why are all these, elites obsessed with space? Why do they all want to go up and get,
Yeah.
and we have these stories they want to get out of here and they want to break through the firm, whatever. But basically, they want to get high and all our buildings, skyscrapers, they're even called skyscrapers, right? Get people up into the more negatively charged energy. But it's a good thing. I don't think it's even been raised before. Is we talk so much about everything's flipped, right? Everything. But we I've never heard a conversation. Well, heaven and hell, are they flipped? Is God really below and the devil above? Right?
They
It's
can
very interesting.
I mean, can't we even tell that? Like, just from our fucking eyes? Like, up there is space, right now, and we don't even believe in that. So it's like an empty void. And anything that's scary and negative seems to come from there down onto us.
Yeah,
Like we
man.
talk about the archons coming down, another story, the parasites coming down, another story, always coming down and into like the
Meteors and stuff that killed the
yep,
dinosaurs and killed all these
that's
things.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then all the artwork when we have this flip, it's all from the sky, from the sky. But actually, our own eyes and experience shows us that actually, for our sake here, the greatest way you can get charged as a positively charged individual is to be on the ground, is to be absolutely physically engaged with the earth,
Mm,
like actually as much as you can, you know, like shoes off as much as you can in the earth. Now, it's not that there's some like magical thing happening here. I just think that the positively charged energetic is held within the belly of the earth.
love
That's
it.
why in the other stories, God's Gaia. God is Gaia. God is the earth. Goddess is the earth. Like the earth plays a very dominant like creation story as to
Mm,
be the true superpower, the true nature, the true nurturer, the true uh giver of charge for
mm.
us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's another flip, right? Goddess to God, like male to female. And, we know at least physically that the females are literally the creators, right? They create life. So it seems like a more creative, positive charge, but we're all told to worship God, God above, and
Yep.
all this kind of thing. So, and even the Bible like does the flip, like the Old Testament. You've got the
Yeah.
negative God, right? Whose name is jealous, right? Apparently now,
Jealous.
jealous. And then it goes on to the New Testament, which is more positive charge. He's out there healing people and all this kind of stuff. So they show us this flip everywhere,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
but because the flips are longer than a lifespan, we never have the evidence of the flip unless we're having to live in a time like now where we're literally going through it. We're going to
Through
see,
it.
yeah,
I mean, I mean, it's everywhere. Like you go through the whole beautiful concept of like, crystal cities in the sky and the flying pirate ships and the whole Tartaria concept. We had a whole we nerded out on that concept a while back about Tartaria being cities of the sky. But then it suddenly that all changes to them being, like vehicles of weapons from the sky. Suddenly, like the imagery is all about everything's weaponized. Everything's
mm,
weaponized, right down to the like herbicide that's killing, all of the microcosms in your soil. Like everything is weaponized in the negatively charged realm.
yeah,
And then everything in the positively charged realm is life-giving. It's an abundance. It's
mm,
abundance of life-giving. So the fall, that would be, so then we talk about the fall. So we like look at the reset now
it's a
from this
sine wave.
perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
So from this perspective, what would have occurred? A pole flip, inevitable. I believe every culture understands it's inevitable. Everyone understands that there will be an inevitable pole shift. It seems to be the balance of this realm.
Yeah,
It's the game of this realm. We're
yeah,
here to experience that at this outer realm at very slow density. And then the closer we get to the middle, it gets quicker and quicker and quicker. And maybe it's that energy there that allows us to catapult out. Maybe, maybe we all end up there at some point for some reason,
heroes, man.
like the
Yeah.
gateway out.
I mean, even Project Blue Beam, right? They call it the Blue Beam, but it's all about aliens coming down and all this
Yeah.
stuff coming down
Yeah.
from above that are going to
Oh,
destroy
they're
us, right?
pumping the alien stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Pumping. So we've got like the last reset. We like what actually fucking happened, like no one can quite, like fully explain how such an advanced culture could have been done away with. And like all we've sort of got evidence of is sort of a disaster, a natural disaster, the liquefaction, the whole
Yeah.
like the earth moving to such a degree that everything and we get the mud floods and whatever. So
Mm.
like you could see now we're about to go into it. You can see now that if you flip the energy, suddenly all those in charge lose their charge. And as they lose their charge, all of those who are will get positively charged will gain charge. So
Yeah.
all of the things they've built and managed and maintained will suddenly lose its charge,
Yeah.
which means that the ones who are charged will actually like turn away their focus from that. It will be disinteresting. It will be like very disinteresting, pointless. Like we would have just been like, ugh, you know. So all of the focus will be gone from their charge, right? It's all gone.
Mm.
Like we're not gonna, as if I'm gonna spend 1 second at all thinking about fucking Taylor Swift. Like that charge that she's garnishing from the billions and trillions of kids and stupid adults that are like focusing on her, that is supercharged to the max, which means her frequency vibration now is a perfect match for a negatively charged individual in a negatively charged realm.
Yeah.
So with all those poor musicians out there that never make it in the music industry, you got the wrong charge, guys.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're meant to thrive in the new positively charged realm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your moment in time.
And
Yeah.
what do we hear about all these people, to get, really famous and that they have to what, sell their soul to Satan,
Yep.
but to the
Yep.
negative charge.
So maybe there is a process, a literal process that occurs to switch a positively charged soul into a negatively charged one. Maybe there, we know about the vril, this concept of the black goo, and maybe it is the black goo. Maybe that's what the black goo does. Maybe it actually like can switch the
Mm.
charge.
Yeah. And the poles, right? They've got us believing that the poles of these physical places. I mean, obviously we know there's no South Pole, but most people think there's a North Pole and a South Pole, and that this polar flip is something to do with it moving across. And but maybe it's just polarity, right? Polarity, just like a magnet has. So
Yes,
it's
exactly.
just the flip in, the positive to the negative polarity.
Yes, it's the polarity. That's
Yeah.
absolutely what I think it is. Yep.
Mm.
And as you know, when you flip a magnet, it's going to amplify, it's going to attract and amplify, or it's going to repel, which means, so this is something, so this is where I'm like, hey guys, I found a positive way to look at this, like here you
Oh,
go, ready?
good.
So the
Yeah.
grand summary of all this, I know what a schizophrenic I am. So the I'm not, just to be clear.
You like
But
upcoming
like
ghosts.
so from this perspective, there will be a time in our lifetime without us doing anything except surviving, because that's probably going to take up all that time, is like we are going to flip charge, the polarity, the polarization sort of flip, which means all those in charge will like have no charge, so they will drop away in decay and be exposed. And that's where disclosure would come into it, because from a point of them like falling away, like we're just going to look at them from a supercharged perspective and think, oh, you grittins, you grots,
Oh, yeah.
so it'll
Literally lose
collapse.
their power and things will become harder for them. And then they'll be
Yes.
like us, like, why is this all so hard? Blah, blah,
Yes.
blah. I've got to work so
I
much
can't
harder.
manifest.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gotta
Like, yeah,
meditate.
can't
I
manage.
can't manifest. What
Yeah.
am I meant to eat? I can't feed myself. What the fuck do I eat? I
Yeah.
can't eat that positively charged food. It's killing me. I'm full of disease. Like they're gonna have the
Yeah.
same dialogue in reverse. But for
Definitely.
us, like suddenly you're going to find that the new leaders, the new CEOs, the new ones are going to be the ones in charge are going to be the ones with the positive charge. So you're
Yep.
going to have organizations like, well, like what I'm doing with Carbonate. It's going to be like a perfect match for an alignment. And all of those corporations and organizations and leaders will be naturally geared towards the regeneration of this realm.
Mm.
They'll be naturally geared to the healing of Mother Earth and the healing of the body and the healing of the food chain and the healing of the protection of innocence and all of that stuff. All the stuff that's so logical to us will
Yeah.
suddenly be what's in charge and governing what's coming out, which means for the whole time that we're in a positively charged realm, we're going to fix all the shit. We're going to fix all their problems.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
Quickly
that
and easily. Like charities will actually be charitable again, right?
not
All this,
money laundering
not money.
machines.
Exactly. Yeah. So I agree. It's not going to be hard. It's going to be quite easy and a lot faster than we think to fix all these problems because
Yeah, it'll happen quick
yeah,
because we're
whatever
already there.
we're just going to be manifesting machines. Whatever we want to do that's got a positive charge will be easy. It'll just
Yeah,
kind of happen, right?
exactly.
Like all these
Exactly.
miracles we hear of and people manifesting things so easily like that'll be us, man. It's coming, and I think it's coming soon. I mean, another like I did a video like we know Jacob Rothschild, exited the realm not long ago, and
Yeah.
he was the head of the banking system. Right, we've got England or the City of London's banking, Washington is war, and the Vatican is religion and spiritual stuff. Kissinger died not too long ago. He was the head of the war side. So if Kissinger's gone, so the war's gone, the money's gone. So is the man in the white dress going to be next? And then with those three sort of big powers gone, I think we're getting close, man. And it
Yep,
doesn't
the royal
look like
families.
it because we've got to get. It's going to be the worst before it's the best. It's like I said before. I don't think it's gets worse and then they have to decline and we sort of then take over. I think it just flips, and then everything they try and do just doesn't work.
Yep.
Right, and
And
everything they try
everything.
and do works.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
because you're as long as you're in line with the charge, and that's why all these people get obsessed with people like Taylor Swift and all these other stars, because when they're in charge, they have that luster, that look to a
Yeah.
lot of people that,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, that they look and sound so good because they're so empowered.
Yep.
But they're going to lose that, man. People start looking at them going, oh my God, they look. It's like what's that? They Live. When you put on the glasses,
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
suddenly they'll all look like these, half dead bloody
Yes.
bodies walking around. Yeah,
Yeah, it will. It will feel like they live for sure.
yeah,
So naturally, the focus will shift, and like there's already a trillion different organizations like ours that's like out there and ready and set up and ready
ready.
to go. That has the solutions, the expertise, and the good people. It's just ready to.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, like
I agree, man.
have faith. Like this is where I would have faith because I feel
Yep,
that all this hard work that's been quite exhausting. And I have had a few friends who have been on this tangent since the 60s and they've passed away now. So they weren't here to see the shift. But they like, all the hippies from the 60s and the 70s, like this is what they instinctively were feeling, but didn't know how to put into sort of maybe a cognitive narrative. But through their collective desire to positively charge, they created movements,
yep,
and then, slowly and like, but then you get to the 80s and 90s, now the movements have changed. Like those positively charged movements have become the protesting movements, which
yep,
in essence, like, and adds to the negativity. So
yep.
it's really hard, like, to start any sort of counteractive measurement to being at the apex of the negatively charged realm. Like,
Hmm.
because everything we
All
kind of
against
do
us.
will be
Yeah.
fought with,
Yeah, yeah. And then
sort
it
of,
was easier back in the 60s and 70s because the negative charge wasn't as great. It's getting greater
yeah,
and greater as we go
exactly.
up the sine wave. And yeah, I agree. It's gonna flip. So, yeah, just keep going, guys. Like
Yeah.
it's even with YouTube, we look at and we're like, oh, everyone's talking about being shadow banned and how can we get all these suppressed views? But if you want to go out and talk about Taylor Swift or talk about, watch TikTok videos and show how
Yeah.
stupid the world are and how crazy people are, then
Yeah.
you're getting all these millions of views. And it's the same thing. That's going to flip. Suddenly we'll wake up and we'll be the ones that are getting all the views. People will be interested in the more positive aspects of what we're saying and not
And the
interested at
understanding of
all in the
it.
crap and understanding it exactly. Like so
So you,
it's interesting what'll happen. Like what all these people that are enamored with the negative, will they stay negative or will they just flip and then be enamored with the positive, which I think is probably what's going to happen.
no,
Because
I think there's going to be a gray area because I think what's happened, because I think if we look at the dark ages as that time of the flip, then we start, as you said before, we start at the top of the sine wave. We start at the top of the apex. So you're in the most positively charged, and then you're in the most negatively
and
charged flip. And
yeah,
then so it's really bad at the beginning, and then it's got to go down and decline, and then move its way up to it
up
being
again
really bad again. And then you've got like the flip over to the really good
to the
again.
positive. So
So
it's
we've
yeah,
done that journey, right? But I think in that journey there, I think it's not going to be like it just all happens magically. I think there's going to be a lot of destruction. I think the
oh
process will be survive. Like I think that's going to be what it's going to take. You got to survive this is, whatever's coming. But I think there's going to be a gray area because they've done such a the amalgamation of the AI and the tech, or just the goo, the black goo, with humanity, that sort of the with the nanotech and the chemtrails and the poison and all that sort of vibrational work has got in to humanity.
yeah,
Like it's in us. And there's a lot of humans that like are not aware of that and are continuing to like, you know, vax the max and take the medication and do all that shit and eat the poisonous food. And they are essentially carrying around shards of this negative charge.
Mm,
So when they flip over to the positive charge, I reckon there'll be a lot of people who like stunned, like deers in headlights, will not know how to process or embody or even translate the new shift in energy. I think there'll be a
mm,
lot of people. So when they say, you know, this will be the time when the healers have to step up, it'll be healing that. It'll be
yeah,
healing that they've got this. So for them, they would be in a state of like, kind of like a gray area.
yeah.
I feel like that there'll be a
They won't
gray area of the
understand what's
population.
going on. They'll be confused. They'll be like, because yeah, that they've spent their life, even if they're a more positive person, like rather than negative, then they've still been putting all their energy into negative people and worshiping negative ideas and all this kind of stuff. So, like I said, that they're full of it, right? Um, but the people who stay their course as a positive, they're the ones who are just going to be empowered, kind of instantly, and things will just be easy and easy, and so that'll flip the system. But then we sort of go through the down and up cycle where
Yeah.
all the rest of the populations kind of can integrate into okay, positive, positive, and then we go and then it flips again, right? I don't know how long that the cycle is, but
And then it flips again.
yeah, that flips again, and that's what this realm seems to be, right? We all know it's polarized, positive, negative
Yeah.
cycles, destruction and rebuilding, and that's what we can see in the physical world, in the literature, in the stories. It's all the same thing, really.
And
So
there must be like the Bible, the evidence in the Bible is seems to be so tangible because it's a leftover it's a leftover consciousness expressing these shifts. Same
mm,
with the satanic stuff, the content from that side. It's a leftover because you know we're translating it now, Campbell, because we're on that lifetime where we've got this perfect dichotomy for us to draw wisdom out of. We're at that lifetime, but you know, we go through that shift into the positive realm and then see all those changes, and then you know whatever happens, and then I don't know how long you live after that or what happens after that. You know, we might flip back into the you know, living for 1,000 years. I don't know, because of the ability to regenerate, and all the factors that make all this up, because I think there's
mm,
just so many factors, like, but you know, and then you pass or whatever happens, and then the information, and then you're on sort of like on the decline slightly. It's like you would lose that ability to like to cognitively consciously be aware of what's going on. And you
mm,
get, and like sort of like, so then you're like left with these like old books or old stories or old metaphors that like start to that they're evidenceable, but they're like part of the rudimentary explanation, I guess.
mm.
So
Yeah, yeah. That's why, you know, in the like especially with Tartaria, it looks like things were so much better in the past, but then you go back further and it gets bad again, yeah. So I think that, you know, we'll probably be writing, you know, stuff. There'll be information coming out when it flips, and the positively charged people will be suddenly they'll because every you know there's still people out there writing books and making videos and making songs. It's just not getting out,
yeah,
but suddenly that'll get out,
yeah,
and that will change the whole paradigm. And so when we're in the low cycle, we'll be surrounded by that, just like
yeah,
now we're surrounded by the bad, right? And the stories will be of the bad times, right? Oh, I was so bad back then. Oh my gosh, blah 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 blah. And then yeah, and then we go up, you know, and things get charged again to the point where everything's just so amazingly good to the point where, you know, people don't have to do much, right? Everything's so easy and simple for the positively charged people, but that
yeah,
has to flip because where can that go? You know,
yeah,
there's that saying
exactly.
that, you know, good times breed bad people, bad times breed good people. So when it's really, really good, people, it might be easy, but we stop learning, right? We stop kind of living as much, even though they've got this massive positive charge. And so we need that flip, you know, so that we can, you know, go, okay, I've got to get off my butt and do something again. But the challenge
And
is keeping to your charge, right? Staying in your charge, staying in charge of you through the bad times.
exactly. That's the best you can do right now. Is that like
Mm.
that? It's actually so true. Like you actually have to, all you've got a hope of doing right now is to stay in charge of yourself.
Yep.
Like, because your charge is not amplified to the point of it. I mean, for you to influence others in this space, like you have to have a probably more charge going through you than the average in order to be a positively charged influencer,
Yep.
like I would say, like, so our, the, like, if we get 20,000 views on this podcast, like there's 20,000 people that are positively charged by the message, and that's an influential expression. But like that's really good, in comparison. Whereas, like, a negative charge soul would get like
Yeah.
a billion views on a
They
perspective,
do. Yeah.
and that's, and so I think, like, for us, like, there's going to be, you just stay in charge of yourself. Yes, do everything you can to do that. There's going to be a flip. That flip's going to rise. So for me personally, I don't plan to be wishy-washy about this sort of thing. Like, I'm building around me a situation where I absolutely will want to rise to be one of the leaders in charge, and
Mm.
that rise will come through my work with my work with
Carbonate.
carbonate,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's all about regeneration. All
Mm.
of that is about regeneration. So it has a natural amplification and a natural ability to attract and manifest, because it will
Mm.
have like a natural ability to be in charge of regeneration.
Yeah.
But it's going to be so interesting. So, you look at this sort of, if we go through like the Tartarian consciousness, just back to the cute little conversations we would have about the lack of bathrooms and toilets and kitchens. Like, it would stand to reason that if you are supercharged and your charge is amplified and you're being nourished by the charge organically
Yeah.
that's around you, you would not need to eat, because eating is something that we have to do to try to replace or replenish the lack of charge we're getting naturally from the environment
Yeah.
that we're in. We
Yeah.
can't take the charge, so we have to fucking figure out how to eat, and it's been really arduous process and quite traumatic, because
Yeah.
you got
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
kill stuff.
We have to go to the lower, denser
Yeah.
forms of energy because yeah, we can't take in the
Yeah.
light at the easy, the energy that's just out there in the ether, right? And we can even look at Antiquitech. They were just easily drawing all this energy from the atmosphere, right, and running off that. It was easy because it was just everywhere, and it was a
Yeah.
positive charge and
Yep.
easy. And now we get the opposite, right, where they have to make things that are more solid and tangible, and you've got to sit in front of a screen and do all these different things. They have big power stations
Yep.
to get energy. But yeah, I think yeah, totally, man. Like, I think that's what's going to happen, and that's the challenge of living in this time is just staying true to yourself. Like I said, staying in charge of yourself. Even though we have all these sayings. When things look bleakest. You're closest to the wind. It's darkest before the dawn. All these kind of things, and I agree, man. Like, things are going to look worse and worse for a little while, but that just means we're actually getting closer and closer to the flip where things are going to be much more in our favor.
Well, it makes me think about the carnivore diet, Campbell, because, like, if you're at the apex of a negatively charged realm, and the diet that seems to suit the human being the most is eating meat that is derived from the beautiful, like, soul and service of another living being, an animal, which has always been my gripe, always, forever, how cruel that we have to take nourishment
Yeah.
from such beautiful souls. I
Yeah.
would be so happy to not have to ever do that. I love the energy I get when I stare into the eyes of an animal. Like, it just feels charged to me. So, like, you can see how we may be at this point feeding off the densest
Mm.
food base, that is the one that gives us the most charge in
Yep.
this negatively light charged realm. And it comes down to meat. But
Yeah.
in the positively charged realm, you can see how go up that food chain to leaves to nothingness.
Lighter, lighter. Yeah. And then we've had this, conversation so many times, why
Yeah.
we have to kill animals to live well and, to have all the nourishment that we need. And maybe that's That's because it's a negative thing. And it's
Yep.
because everything's negatively charged. So to get any charge that we can run off, we have to sort of go into the negative.
Really
Yeah,
into the
yeah,
densest
yeah,
of
yeah.
the dense negative.
And you
Yep.
see a lot of people who stay on, try and just eat, vegetables and things, which is not as dense. And it seems all right at the start, but as time goes on, they seem to degenerate faster than
Yeah,
people who are eating meat. I mean,
absolutely. Because
look at all the CEOs and all these people. None of them are vegetarians or vegans.
no, because
Mm,
the collagen's in the meat. The
mm,
collagen is what we need to regenerate our systems. Like that is what is in it.
yeah,
So, that B12 and the collagen, you can't get it from any other source. So we're literally having to literally take the life force of energy from the closest like known species that's closest to our biology and consume it.
yeah,
No different from what the negative charged cells do with the adrenochrome, which is to take the life force, the negatively charged life force from a human being and consume it. So
yeah,
in this paradigm, we're literally having to take collagen from another source, another animal, in
yeah.
order to regenerate. That's why carnivore works and why plant-based diets do not give you that long-term regeneration,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
So in the future, we won't need that because it'll just be energy. But it's also, that's why, like, obviously, the whole, achrome is so much more negative, right, than just, eating an animal because they're literally preying on innocence, right?
Yep.
On the
Yep.
vulnerable, the most vulnerable, and those, that are just starting
So
in
we.
life and all this kind of stuff. And we are, but with animals, it's not it doesn't, well, it doesn't seem as negative and nefarious, right, as going after children. And that's what they're doing with the music and the movies and all the the sex stuff that's going on. It's all focused at the most vulnerable, right, which is the most negative thing you could probably do, which is giving them the most charge, right, the most
Yep.
bang for their buck kind of thing.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 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 And that's, like for as a meat eater, you want to be eating meat that you have like positively loved and positively looked after and positively, so it's sort of like a counterbalance. Like I'm taking what's in you to feed me, which is no
Mm,
different from what they do to us,
mm,
but I'm going to do it in a way that like is the most positive I can bring myself to interact
yeah.
with you. Like it is the most positive. I'm going to eat happy meat that I'm going to
Mm,
like love. But like still, I would be so happy tomorrow for that conundrum to be over and out of my life and
man.
to never have to consider killing anything ever again and to never have to um go on this perpetual debate about, oh, why am I feeling old and gray? Why am I feeling fat and frumpy? Why am I feeling depressed? All that shit. Like, like it'll be so nice to give
It'll
away
be,
that consciousness, which
mm,
is a result of you guys all existing in a negatively charged realm that's at
the
its
negative
apex
charge.
moment.
Yeah, so we need the negative charge, but it's up to us what we do with that, right? So we, as positive people, try and make it as positive as possible. It's just like when it flips and the positive energy is easy for everyone, it's the ones who are the most positive and have the most positive intentions and creativity that are going to be the most powerful, most
Yep.
full of power, right? Where the
Yep.
ones who are still a bit, nefarious. They might be, worshipping the bad people, and so they're going to be getting a good energy, but their intent won't be as positive. So they're going to get lesser results, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
And
it's what we
they
do
may
with it.
not be able they certainly won't be able to like regenerate and thrive off it. There's no way. There's
Well,
no way,
the
and
complete negative
like we
ones,
can't.
yeah, they're going to be the lepers and stuff, right? And all the disease-ridden street people because they're not going to be able
They're
to
going to be
use that
us
energy. Well,
because
we're hopefully
we can't
lower than
take
us.
we can't take
Well, I
nourishment
suppose we, yeah,
from
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. No, we can't.
We
Yeah,
No, we can't. So they can't take nourishment from us. Like they can't take nourishment from the opposite charge.
No.
So they will go through their Abrahamic decline from the 1,000 years down to the 50-year life cycle. And
Mm.
in that, not have much consciousness, memory, or charge. They'll be in the dream, the more infuriating dreamlike state that we've existed in, where it's been infuriating to try to figure out how we got here. That ignorance will awash their souls. They will be in that
Wow.
fuzz of confusion and that fuzz of like, where am I, who am I, what is this, what's going on, like. But at the same time, how do the positively charged societies deal with the negatively charged individuals? Like, for us, if you look at the stories about the Middle Ages and them, the torture chambers, and them trying to destroy these positively charged beings that were regenerating all the time, and calling them witches and destroying them, and like going up, like they hunted us down. Basically, they hunted us down and destroyed. That's what they're hunting down, the tribal cultures. They hunted everyone down. Hopefully we won't do the same thing, Campbell, because if we then go and hunt down the demonically charged individuals and hunt down the demonically charged organizations and institutions, which looks like that is the plan so far, like, then we're just going to
Well,
start
yeah,
we're
that's
starting
negative.
like, it's like inevitable. Is it inevitable? Is this is how it has to play out
I
always and
mean,
forever?
that may happen with a lot of the people that aren't, attuned to their charge as much, right? So
Yeah.
they can still, because there's still going to be negative energy around. It just won't be the dominating energy, right? So it's going to be a lot harder for them
Yeah.
to get things done. But it doesn't mean, it's not like all evil and bad is going to disappear. You're still going to have those people trying to do those things and use that energy, but like you said, they're going to be us. They're going to have a much harder time, and they're going to have to deal with, the negative thoughts and the disease of their body and all this other kind of stuff. Where the most positive
And
people,
the
that'll
collapse
just
of the ego, the shattering of
uh,
the personality, the fragmentation of the personality. And isn't it interesting that we saw in the last 10 years this whole new consciousness around narcissism, like that came up
I was
really
talking about that,
strongly?
yeah, last night.
Yeah.
Suddenly everyone's a
Yep.
narcissist, right?
Yep. Yep. It is so came out so strongly. Why? What? It's like, why? Is that's an interesting thing. And like that negatively charged reality, it's like got nowhere to go when the charge changes, but it still exists.
Yeah,
So the existence of it has to play out. Like, we had nowhere to go. We still exist. We're still here. We had to survive it. And that potentially, I'm hoping, because this is what I haven't got to in my understanding yet. What happens then? So if you go, like, obviously I cannot settle on the idea that we're in this like cyclic oscillating experience that has no end, that we literally will go from positive to negative to negative to positive and negative, like perpetually and endlessly, because it's this realm. I have to believe that somewhere in there is an explanation of like exiting that experience, like evolving through that experience, like not being a part of that that process, like perpetually and forever. I can't comprehend that that is it,
yeah, no,
you know.
yeah, I don't. I think, yeah, no,
That's
I don't think we're stuck here.
uninspiring as fuck.
Yeah, I know, right? Then it's just a roundabout, right? A merry-go-round that you can never get off. So I think that's why it is so. That's why we have the polarization down here, so we can experience both. We can make a choice of which way we want to go, put our energy into that, and once we've mastered that, then I think we kind of exit the system and go on to level two or whatever's next, right? But I think this is the realm of the positive negatives, deciding who you're going to be, right? How are you going to be? You're going to be positive, you're going to be negative. What are you going to align to? And once you've sorted that out and lived in your power and experienced that, well, it kind of seems like that's the end of the experience, right? Because what, from our perspective at least, what would be the point of redoing it? Like you finally, you get to
Well,
your
I mean,
apex, and yes, it's all working. I was right. I stayed positive. Woohoo! And then you get cast back into it for an eternal sine wave.
yeah,
So
very.
yeah, I don't think,
Painful. Like,
yeah,
I mean, Campbell, like if we believe the stories of the Bible, then people were living for 1,000 years, 900 years,
yeah,
800 years, so 500 years, and like the age limit declines, but there's
positive
still that
people.
moment where
Mm,
you're basically living through a whole polarized era. You're
yeah,
literally living from the beginning to
the
the end of
top to
that
the end.
era.
Yeah,
And that's what I think we get this concept with the negatively charged, that they've got the bloodlines and the memories and the
exactly.
knowledge and again, for the thousand. But then there has to come a time when all of that's wiped.
Mm,
And then when that's wiped from you and suddenly you come out of it like having none of that long view or broad view or knowledge or access to it or anything like that, then you're starting the game again, aren't
yeah,
you? It's like you got to
yeah,
start again.
which was kind of pointless, right? So I think there's, you know, and some people may take more cycles to get truly polarized and in charge of themselves and to decide which you know way they want to go. But I think you know once you hit the top of the cycle and you're ready and you're you know positively charged and you're ready for the positive, then you're fully empowered. Then yeah, I think you know you probably will live for 1,000 years because you know there's so much talk that all these elite types, the negative charge, they live much longer than us, right? They're just not showing us that.
Yeah.
And like vampires, right? Live, you know, they're the negative. They
Fuck
live for a
yeah.
long time. All this kind of stuff.
And all the double gangers, all the pictures
Yeah,
of all the
all that
movie
kind of
stars
stuff.
like in the fucking
Yeah,
1900s
where
and
in
all
the
the
past
cloning.
it tended to be the good people, right? Like, especially in
Yeah,
the Bible, like all the
yeah.
holy people and that, and the 1,000 year reign of Christ, they all lived for 1,000 years, all the saints and everything. So yeah, I think totally that's probably it, and that maybe that's why it happens. Like, you know, if you haven't made your mind up, or if you haven't, you know, aligned to a charge, then you keep repeating to sort of give yourself more chance to make your decision properly. Where if you're alive the whole time and you're not quite decided, then you're going to be more easily swayed by what's around you, right? It's not going to be your decision. So you sort of die and reborn and die through the cycle. And by the end of it, hopefully you've sort of decided, because I'm sure that, you know, there'll be people who go with the negative. You know, that'll be their experience, and they're like, "Well, I'm a negative. I'm going to stay negative," and then they go off to wherever that is, right? Hell in the sky or whatever it is. Um,
Because
yeah,
like as a positively charged individual right now, like unless you were sort of unless you were like in this state of investigating, which is where we sit, like always asking more questions and like the
what the
the
fuck's
joy
going
for
on?
us, our whole friendship's based on that. Like we just love like getting into the nitty gritty. That's why I love riddles. I love anything like that. I love putting my head and trying to figure it out from all as you guys know, all perspectives. Like I'm all over that. I love it. Um, and I think that like is indicative of those who are absolutely, without doubt, can't even question it, would never know yourself without it, are positively charged individuals. Like you absolutely have developed that charge, or have it's left over enough in you that you are so positively, you can't help but want to be in a state of investigation. And that's what you would consider the truth movements, who inevitably are leaning towards Christianity, which is absolutely normal, probably, and completely okay. Because that, like Christianity or Satanism, it gives you that pathway of faith that there is a process here to keep you safe and sound through this moment in time. And it
Hmm.
gives you answers and it gives you a stable grounding. That's got to be a good thing, because it's
Yeah.
like it stabilizes your energetic, it grounds you in a faith, it grounds you in a process, it grounds you in rituals, it grounds you in a concept, a construct, and that's safe, that feels secure.
Hmm.
Because right now, if you're a positively charged human being, I can tell you one fucking thing: you are in a state of insecurity, and that is a fact. Like everything around you is absolutely insecure. Your money, your job, your health, your family, everything is in a state of insecurity. Your thought processes, your faith, whatever, because it's designed that way. Like,
Hmm.
how could you be feeling secure in this state, or in this moment in human history, when you are actually immersed in a system that's about to collapse by the state
And
of the cycle?
yeah, I mean, and choosing, you know, religion, Christianity, whatever, even though we know most of the institutions, are negative, they're still going for the positive aspects because they see it as a positive thing and it gives them hope and faith and all this. So it's still, it's still positive people choosing the positive, right? But then you've always got that choice. You always got the negative energy going. Ooh, you want to be rich and famous? Ooh, just sign here. Just do this. Just do you want an easy life? Well, just take your clothes off in front of a camera, girls. Woohoo. All this kind of stuff. And they're teaching, especially at the moment, there's a lot. Well, I've seen a lot of videos of the younger generation. They're the whole sex thing, right? They're like now they're teaching girls that to be empowered, you don't find a partner and settle down and make a family and be creative. You go out and sell your body and you have multiple partners and all this kind of stuff. And they literally say it, to become an empowered woman. That's what you do, right? But because
Yeah,
we're in
sex.
a negative environment, that's empowerment. It's
Yep.
negative. It's a negative empowerment. So that's
Yep.
what we're
Sex is
seeing. Yeah.
whereas in the positively charged realm, obviously you go through sex would become a holy act if that's probably the wrong
Yeah.
terminology.
Well,
That
but
a more
intentional creation, right? Like
yes,
having a
yes.
child because the couple decide that's what they're going to do. It's not just going to be going and having a one night stand and going, oh my God, whoops, I got pregnant. It's going to be you'll make a decision. You want to create something, a life, right? And then you'll be fully into that. It'll be intentional. I think
Which is
yeah.
that was very alive in the Ringing Cedars of Russia, the Anastasia series. There was a whole book about, the couple coming together and then spending time on a piece of land, dreaming up their domain and
Yeah.
dreaming up their land. And then they invite all their friends and family over, and then they present the vision. They tell the vision and all the details of their home, their domain, their children, what they're going to be like. They've done all that dreaming. Ooh, that was a loud noise.
Oh.
Something just fell on the roof. Hopefully not a big scary goanna. But like you're in the state of like intentional creation. I totally agree. And from that perspective, then in the Anastasia books, or then you go through the coupling, like once you've dreamed up the children and dreamed it, then you go through the actual like physical creation,
Mm.
that coupling creation, and then everyone comes back together, and your wedding is actually people bringing to your wedding day all the objects and items that make
Oh
up the
yeah.
parts of your domain. So
Yeah.
if you had dreamt up an orchard and
Right.
shared the vision, then all the beautiful trees, that was how it all worked.
Mm.
And that's why I loved the Ringing Cedars of Russia series, because it was
And
such a positively charged vision, right?
yeah, and I think books, and series like that are here to sort of show us what's coming because it's interesting that, we had like Celestine Prophecy and other kind of books like that, but most of those authors, they only do one book or one series, like one thing, right? They're not like these people who just keep, producing books every year and they
No.
somehow come out with this thing, right? So it's like that's kind of validation that something better is coming, but it's the ones who jump on the bandwagon and try and reproduce that, and they're not doing it creatively. That they're the negative ones, right? And they're normally the ones that sell more books, right? Because it's easier for them in this time. But because most people haven't, even though in our circles it seems like most people have heard of these books, in the wider world,
Yeah.
they don't sell as much as what's that guy Dan whatever who wrote the book with the Tom Hanks movie about, and all these big sellers like Grisham and that, they're all like murder mysteries and they're all about deceit and killing people, and then they sell millions and millions of books.
Yeah, every
You know,
TV series, every
yeah,
movie is
and then
all
they get
about
turned
that.
into but when someone
It's
comes out
all gross.
with Celestine Prophecy, even though it'll make a hit through the positive charged community,
Yeah,
the wider world
absolutely.
never see it, never know it's happening.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
think
Yep.
they're literally telling us this is coming, this is how it's going to be, and they're just so that we're ready for it, right? We've got all this stuff in our heads, so that when it happens, we've got some idea of what to do with this newfound power. You
Now
know,
it's going to be interesting, Canberra, with the animal kingdom when they flip from a negatively charged polarization to a positive. Like you've got this whole, like, for example, what happens to snakes? Now, snakes are characteristically like not that exciting to live around. Like, I don't like snakes. I don't have anything against the concept of if snakes didn't bite and kill you, if they weren't venomous and could like actually kill you, which already makes you feel scared of them, and they're slithering around in the dark corners of the world and they're slithering around on the ground, so you never know when they're there, and they're fucking just freaky as a concept. These slithery little beings that slither around on the floor and can bite you at any moment. Like an entity like that. I remember a long time ago, Ramtha talking about snakes when this wasn't his language, but when, we flipped into this positively charged realm, the snakes of the world, the venomous creatures of the world would have to make a decision, and instantly they would have to polarize. So if they did not polarize over to a positively charged life form that was there to give life and emit positive energy, then they had no place on the new in the new experience. That they would certainly instantly become extinct.
I think all the bugs, all the swarming insects are going to go. Like, because we sit
Mosquitoes.
there and it's like, yeah, what's the point of a mosquito? What's the point of a
Well,
wasp?
they're chocolate,
What's
but yes.
what's the point of all these things? Because all they really do is destroy things, right? They could spread
Cane
disease, they suck
toads.
our blood, they destroy the food and the fruit and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be any room for them in a positively charged realm. And it's like in a lot of the old art, you see people hanging out with lions, right? It's like,
Ah,
what goes on there? Like, do they suddenly decide, are they eating fruit or something suddenly? Like,
Yeah,
right.
I think because I think like the lion conceptually, I would say anyone who's positively charged would have, if they were tuning into the lion, they would feel a great being. Like they don't feel like this scary savage that's going to just, they
Oh,
don't. They feel this
they're
reverence for
regal.
this beautiful,
Mm,
regal, majestic being, and same with the whales. But when it comes to sharks, however, I don't think anyone positively charged would ever think that of a shark. They would
right.
think, I don't know if you. I don't think I'm going to choose to have you a reality, dude. Like, and there's then like fucking spiders and mosquitoes who are the chocolate story is a bit of a if you. But like the point is that I feel like the animals will also be nourished by the positively probably
Well, the energy.
quicker and more easier the energy, so they would
Good
stop
point.
needing to have this sort of hunting prey, venomous, blah, 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 blah. Which would then take us back to the times, of course, of all those beautiful images where human beings lived in beautiful harmony with the animal kingdom, and they could speak to each other and they
Yeah.
could interact with each other. And, the animals would help you raise your children. And like that whole relationship is completely, ultimately, what we crave to see in the world and like never fucking see it. All we ever see is the torment of our beautiful natural kingdom.
Mm. Yeah. It is, man. I mean, and it's always, those regal creatures that tend to get hunted, like the whales and like the African safaris where they go out and they kill the lions and this kind of stuff. It's like they seem to be the top of the animal world, if you want, and they're the most attacked, right? Like,
I mean, they don't go and hunt snakes, do they? They go in and fucking go on safaris to hunt the snakes of the world,
exactly.
or
No, you
like
don't
the
see
tarantula.
bug hunters or mosquito hunters, but yeah, or spider hunters or any of this kind of stuff. It's all the animals, and we're like, oh my god, how can you do that? To this
So,
amazing being.
so anything with the hive mind energetic
Yeah,
is a negatively
exactly.
charged pole. It's negative. It just feels negatively charged. It
Yeah.
does. It's like it fully does. That swarming, as you said, the swarming, the
Mm.
hive, all
Well,
negatively
that's
charged.
non-creativity, isn't it?
Which
The
brings you,
hive mind.
yes.
Mm.
And like, if I was to look at this, if I was, and I did this the other day, I hyperanalyze me through the last 46 years. And I was like, what times did I say that I was the most attuned to a positively charged, nourishing experience? And hands down, it was always when I was in a state of creation,
Yeah,
always creativity, when I was in a state of creativity. So for me, that came out with painting or, with us building or whatever the action. And I love being in that live music environment. That sort of human creativity is the closest I know of the vibration of a positive charge. And then, of course, love,
totally.
love
Yeah.
and love and love with your family and your
Mm.
partner and your children. Um,
Which
but
is
apart from
ultimately
that,
a form of creativity, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
You love something or someone because you want to help them create something better, or you love what they've created, isn't it? Like that's kind of the underlying thing. It's hard. You can't love someone for what they don't do.
Yeah.
Like.
Yep. That's right. So I think maybe the place where the faith comes into it, and maybe the biblical analogy is like it's a leftover helping hand. It's a leftover, you know, point of focus that
The
you could sort of like,
guidance.
they can help you cruise through this, help you. It's like a lifeboat. It's like a lifeboat,
Yeah.
like, and I think for those who aren't enjoying, say, their own personal creativity, having faith in something brings out your creativity as well. It brings out your natural desire to be in service. Literally in the Christian religion, you're doing services all the time. You
Yeah,
literally you go
service.
to
Nice.
services.
Yeah, good point.
The whole thing is about being in service
Mm.
to your God, to creator, to the community, to others, to humanity. It's a service, service, service. So I think that it provides a lifeboat and it, like, helps you get through this time without even fully understanding what it is that's working about that. I
Mm.
think that's what it does.
Yeah.
Which means that you can get through this time without that, and you're not going to be condemned to hell. Like, you can get through without that lifeboat because you're not reaching for the lifeboat. Like in
Mm.
our case, we're reaching for the knowledge or the understanding or the solution to the riddle. That's our lifeboat. It's the
Mm.
truth seeking. It's
Yeah.
like, let's solve this fucking riddle and
The
be done
question,
with
being creative. Yeah, yeah. And that's ultimately what heaven and hell is, right? If you stick to the good energy, then you're one of the ones who is powerful in the positive timeline. Where if you're not, and you worship destruction and all this, then you have a really hard time in the positive, and you thrive in the negative. But we would look at everything from the perspective of being in the negative charge, right? So I think that's it. Like the next cycle, the evil ones are going to have a really hard time, right? They're going to go through hell. Where the positive ones,
Mhm.
they're going to go through heaven because it's all going to be easy and nice.
Except we're going to realize that heaven's actually the earth, and that
Yeah.
that hell's actually space. And that metaphor, like at the apex, I bet you every single time the negatively charged apex will take you to space. Every single time we would have got to a point in our understanding and technology that it's all about space. Oh, wait, I bet you the alien and space agenda comes in every fucking pole shift.
Mm.
And equally, like the return to Gaia, the regeneration of the earth, the indigenous leaders rising, the finding your source from the organic, all of that will like always come into place as well.
Mm.
Like it's just the same game. And I wonder, Campbell, if we have literally, you and I personally have only done one round of this. Like always, I've always thought, oh my God, I've been here for 1,000 million trillion lifetimes. I can't believe I'm still, I've always felt like this really long timeline. But maybe we've just been from the apex of we've just done one sine
Yeah.
wave. Maybe we've just
Just
completed
through
one.
the negative. Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of lifetimes in there because they're shortened. And yeah, then, we've stayed our course to the positive. So we get empowered and we experience that. And then we've kind of done it, right? Whereas if you're wishy-washy and you're not sure and you're worshiping, people outside doing all this, then it'll probably be a lot longer, right? Because you won't be as empowered in the positive, and you're going to have to. So your lifespan probably won't be as elongated, and all this kind of stuff, and they'll just go around until they can get their shit together, man.
And like, it's so interesting because I was chatting to Cass about this, right?
Yeah.
And it was interesting because like there's an instinct to want to, once the positively charged individuals are back in charge, there'd be an instinct to want to get rid of any possibility of this happening again. Like to get rid of the negatively charged organizations, individuals, situations. And so that so we can never go through this satanic bullshit ever again, right? And yet, like, would it not be the most natural thing as a supercharged positive individual that is back in charge that we respond compassionately, and thus through the compassion we don't obliviate and annihilate and destroy
Well,
every other negatively charged being, and thus they continue to exist, and thus the
yeah,
cycle continues to.
yeah, it's got to continue, and that's the ultimate thing, right? Is the ultimate proof of how positive or negatively charged you are. You know, if you have to go out and kill and destroy what you believe, because it's all perspective, what you believe is bad and evil, then you're clearly not that positively charged.
Well, Campbell, that is a very lofty statement because, honey, like if we had, say, like,
But
someone disgusting in front of, like Bill Gates,
yeah,
if or Elon Musk, if we had them standing in front of us, would you just be like, would your instinct want to just destroy them out of existence so they could never reign their terror again? Or would your instinct
well,
be to hug them back into
I wouldn't hug them,
well-being?
but I would know that they're ultimately creating their own demise, and that they're going to suffer. They're going to go through, like he's going to go from one of the most powerful, empowered people to nothing. He's going to lose all his wealth, all his influence. He's going to have full on mental trauma, man. They all will, because they'll still be alive and they'll still remember, how it used to be. And suddenly everything they try won't work. No one will listen to them. And they'll end up, the street people, because they have no real skills. They just, apart from being attuned to the negative energy. So to me, all it would do for me to, whatever, something bad to him, wipe him out or whatever, that's really going to affect me more than it's going to affect him. It's
Oh,
going to
it's
put
a tough
my
one,
energy
man.
down, right? And this
It's
is
a
the thing,
tough
when it flips, they're
one.
not going to have their power. They're not going to have the power over us. So they're not going to be these people up there. They're going to be the ones in the shadows that with all the, so-called mental disease and everything, because they're going to be, what the hell's going on? I can't
But
do
Campbell,
anything. I've lost my money,
yes,
you know.
but inevitably they will rise again. So by
Well,
not removing them,
at
they
the end
are
of the
going to.
yeah, but if you remove them, if it's all cycles, by the next cycle, there's going to be someone to replace them, even if it's
This
not
is
them.
true. Well,
So,
maybe though, maybe the characters remains kind of solidly generally the same.
yeah.
I mean, it's just an interesting conversation around,
Hmm.
what is it to be a compassionately supercharged human being, positive charged human, up against like making decisions about the negatively charged ones. I mean, when you heard about the idea that they were basically, all the Hollywood actors and politicians were at fucking what's that um what's that military prison? Um
Guantanamo.
Guantanamo, and they were all being lined up for a trial and execution. What did you think about that?
I mean, I wasn't happy and excited. I wasn't like, yay, yay. I mean, me, I'm always like, oh, I wonder if this is true. But I mean,
But you
if
weren't
it happened,
opposed to the idea.
well, yeah, but I kind of always knew that even if that happened, there's always people underneath them who will move. You take out the CEO, and
Yeah,
there's always someone
I
below that's
agree.
going to step up into
I
that
agree.
position.
I
So
agree.
it's not really solving a problem. The way to solve the problem is to change the way that people are thinking, that those people are thinking, and maybe
All
that's
right.
why we get all these, the like in the Bible and that all these preachers and prophets who stand up and try and tell people this is the way forward. Do this. They're trying to tell them, think about this, and trying to change them, because unless you get someone to ask themselves a question, you're not changing them at all.
All right, but Campbell, what if we realize that the negatively charged individuals are a different species?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What
I
if
mean,
they're a
and
different species
yeah, I've
and you
definitely
cannot?
talked about that and the blood types and the 15% and the fallen angels and all this kind of stuff. But maybe if that's the truth, maybe they're only here in the negative cycle, right? Maybe that'll change, and we'll get a group of positively charged people that come in to help lead us through this. But ultimately, killing someone because they're evil or do evil things, and again, it's perspective. I mean, to a point, I guess, but like I just see that as you've then turned evil yourself.
Yeah, but then you could
And so
also
that's the
see,
conundrum, right? Like,
yes, I agree with you. I would agree. But like the conundrum is that like in that step, are you then like in that compassionate, loving concept or understanding, are you then like preparing for your demise again? Like if it was if we
yeah.
knew that it was a different species, you know, and that's the only way they can like positive, that's the only way they can take charge from such a negative dense realm. They're literally a different species, and that different species, like this snake, is never going to form an emotional relationship with you. You will
Mm,
never have a cognitive relationship that's like on any sort of level where you are affecting their process. And
mm.
so they will continue to be what they are. And so you may destroy them. They might not get the charge from the natural organic charge, but they definitely could find, you know, different ways of getting that charge within a positively charged realm, like we have.
Sure.
How have we
Yeah.
existed? Because we have found ways.
Mm.
So
We're
it's just, you know,
never,
it's
yeah, I don't think we're ever going to, yeah, it's never going to be 100% positive or negative. We're never going to get rid of nefarious people, but we'll be able to out influence them, right? We'll be able to have more influence, and so they'll have less and less power. And I believe ultimately everyone's here for experience, and that's probably to help you choose, which way you're going to go. But it's
you
also
can see how
interesting,
this.
isn't it, with blood types? Like, what are
Mm,
they? Rh negative,
yep,
right?
yep,
Negative charge. We're all
yep,
positive charge.
yep.
Like it tells you.
And it's interesting, like if you take our experience today as to be inevitably the experience again, but from the positive charge to the negative, you're going to have people on their version of YouTube who are negatively charged, who are
Yeah.
speaking like you and I,
Yeah.
like buddies, trying to like figure out how this fucking positively charged world, which we can't stand because it doesn't nourish us or feed us, is in existence. Like, but it's going to be the like
Yeah.
a complete Black Mirror flip, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
you can see how then the satanic, or if I can take the story out, the
But,
negative charge
but that
will
they're
come
only going to
again.
affect the people with the negative charge.
Like we only affect the people with the positive
Yeah,
charge, Campbell.
exactly. So it'll flip. And do you think Bill Gates worries about, us? I don't
No, of
think he
course
does.
not.
So we'll just be more, you can't change everyone. So we'll just, I think, be out there trying to affect positive people in the best way. And, you can't make other people's decisions. If they decide to go the negative route, well, that's what they do. But they're just going to have a harder and harder and harder time. And they're going to
I
be the
could kill, I
frustrated
could kill,
ones.
I could kill someone.
Okay.
I could. I could.
I
Like
mean,
I could.
I mean,
I find it hard killing animals, but I could definitely like kill another species of like negatively charged beings.
in a
I
certain
could.
circumstance, I think,
Being
most of us
honest, I'm being
could,
honest.
if you, yeah, I could, if I walked in on someone doing something, horrific to a child, then yeah, I don't think it would even be a decision. But, in that instance as well, to me, it's intention. You're not, hunting someone down for what they may or have done in the past. You're like, in that instant, you're like, I can stop this negative act and from happening, right? Because I'm a positive person. So yeah, but I think that's different than rounding them
I
up,
mean,
sending them to Guantanamo and all this kind of stuff,
well,
because that becomes an intention, right?
but Campbell, would you stop that from happening? Is what I'm saying.
Do I
Like,
stop
would
them
you
from being
actually
hung like the bad people? No.
like right now?
Oh,
Right, here you go, here you go, here you go. Right now, Campbell, you are the man in charge, and right now, literally, there is like 1,000 individuals, the worst of the worst, the most famous of the famous, who are all there, have had their trials, all evidence that has come out, and you're the one that decides whether to remove them from this game or to keep them here. What would be your decision?
oh gosh. Well, I mean, Well, it's
He's like, it's time to end the show, Kelly. It's
yeah.
been two
Thanks
hours.
for joining us, guys. We'll be back next week.
I find these questions interesting.
Yeah,
What
no,
would you
I
do?
mean, yeah, that would definitely be a lot harder because basically because you're then acting on behalf of a large majority, right? So it's not necessarily your decision for you.
But
You
you've been chosen. You have been chosen as the person from the masses to make this
Well,
decision.
then I guess if that was the deal and I decided to take that position, I would have to go with the conclusion of the masses.
No, no, no. They've handed you the power because they trust in your conclusion. So what is your conclusion?
It's a hard one because then, by doing that, don't I turn into the same as them? Like if you kill a killer, aren't you a killer?
I
Like,
don't know.
so what's the point there? I mean, I understand that it's a negative and, and it depends on, like if there's someone who's a CEO, someone like Elon Musk, if he hasn't actually, taken the achrome or killed anyone, he's just done stuff
No, no,
that,
no, no. They've all been
that's
trialed.
nefarious, that
They've
they've
all been
all
trialed.
and they've all done it. If they've all
They've all
been
been
out
trialed.
there,
Yeah, they've all
taking
done it.
lives and doing all that stuff,
Mhm.
then I probably would, you know, if I knew that 100%. But it's different to someone who's just nefarious and putting out, putting out Ponzi schemes and people are then making their decision to follow them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's
there's
different if
lots
they've
of
taken the
levels.
act to go out and actually themselves done the acts, then that are evil, then yeah, I think you would. But you would have
What
to know that 100% as well, wouldn't you?
what would I do, do you reckon?
Oh, you'd just be like, yeah, take him to the gallows.
Yeah, I'd be fuck it,
Let
kill
me
him.
do it
I would.
myself. Give me the knife.
That's probably, oh yeah, I mean, like, I guess well, that's an interesting thing to say because I think that's probably what if I was the one to make the
I mean,
decision, my decision would be yes. And
mm,
then it like to be really, if I was the one saying yes, then I would have to be the one also doing the
doing it.
killing.
Yeah. But like I said, if I walked in on someone doing something like that, then it wouldn't even be a decision. I would do it instantly because then that's more real. You know that they're doing it. You can do something about it. Um, but it's yeah, it sort of becomes a different question slightly when they're all lined up but the same thing if you've got if you've seen video footage and it's all 100% real and they have got out there then yeah I mean I would because then it's you're doing it because to me it's all intention so if you're doing it for the greater good to help people and to stop bad things happening to them then it's a good act right.
Yeah, because I mean the reason I thought about all
I
this
mean,
is because it's you'd like the
even
thing about
Jesus flipped over the money changers' tables, right? And yelled at the Pharisees and all this.
ooh, did Jesus yell and flip over a table, Campbell?
Yeah,
It was
man.
fucking
Jesus
he yelled.
wasn't
He yelled
this.
fucking.
Apparently, he wasn't. He's not the
Hey, no,
dude who's
I've fucking
quiet and
yelled and
flip it
flipped
all.
over tables before.
Yeah.
Friggin' like yellow. Didn't take much. Um, yeah, I mean, I just think it's an interesting concept because obviously the thing about the positively charged stories is that you do move into a place of ultimate compassion and ultimate like you're highly sensitively attuned to like well-being and that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
Because I think the reason I thought it was an interesting question because I believe that the gray area that we're going to enter. So when we flip over at the apex, I think that you're going to have a new moral compass. There's going to have to be an evolution of your moral compass. And I just don't think it's as black and white as like you kill if you're in the negative or you don't ever kill if you're in the
No, yeah, yeah,
positive.
for sure. Yeah.
That's very simplistic
So yeah,
modality.
can you kill in a good, energy? I guess is a question. Can you be positive and still do something negative? But I
But
mean,
then
it's
Campbell,
perceived. Is it negative if you're taking out the negative? I mean, they're very big questions, aren't they? I mean, if I
Yeah,
had
because the game
100% proof, then I would. But from my perspective now, we have all these stories and they're all doing this, but I don't know 100% that all of them are doing that. But I guess if I did, especially if you saw a video, right, then that you'd just be like, oh my, no, this can't exist. You're just that's too evil. You got to go for sure. But if it's made on a
and
decision of, oh well, they were doing this and apparently blah blah blah, then it becomes harder. But
well, then the game continues either way, because that's the
well,
paradox.
it's
That's
gonna
the
it's gonna continue
paradox.
anyway, as far as I'm concerned.
That's
It's just
right.
the
Because
only
if
question
you,
is, are we going to be here for it, or are we going to go to level two, right? Or
I
level
mean, because
42?
like the paradox is if you let them live and you enact compassion, like then they
Yeah,
live and the game starts again. And if you just don't let them live and take their life and remove them, then they live and the game starts again because you've done it. So you're the one that has to like go. It's just like it's a perfect, inevitable, inescapable cyclic that will
maybe
come
that's it.
again.
Maybe we get so good that we create, commit acts of evil, and we come back as the negative ones, right? And then we go through that, and then we come back as we go, oh my God, I've done so much bad stuff, and become positive. And let's
Because
hope that's not what happens, but who knows?
I mean, when I say like at some point the activation has to come that like we get a choice of like leaving this cyclic experience. Like, so if I look at sort of our energy bodies, like the chakra system or the energy bodies, that whole place that we exist right now is survival, sex, the second
Yeah,
lowest, and then the mid range, which is the victim tyrant player, which is basically the fragmentation of our personalities.
yeah,
We oscillate between the victim and the tyrant all the time, right? So
yeah,
when I ask you this moral paradox, like you're basically trying to figure out if you're going to be the victim or the tyrant. Like it's like that
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
paradox, right?
Basically, yeah,
Yeah. So like if we take it up, so if we get charged and supercharged, and then that naturally floods our system. So we're moving up through all of the higher, like chakra, the highest seals, the high energetic points in our system.
yeah,
Then like is it that maybe we don't exit the game, but we have a speedier vibrational output? So then our perception of reality is broadened. Like if we're like, whereas with a negatively charged energetic, we're going
yeah,
down into so
yeah,
the root chakra is, magnified, that
yeah,
sexual magnification.
yeah, yeah. And I guess you could say that ultimately, that's a negative thing to think that if you take out evil, that something negative will happen to you, right? That's kind
Yeah.
of a negative charge, right? So yeah, will we get a bigger perspective where we see that, you know, that's it? Maybe it'll be like, that's what you were supposed to be doing for the last cycle. What have you been doing? Get out there and get them. But from where I am now, then I mean, definitely, like, we all know, like if we walked in on someone trying to murder or worse, one of our friends or family or anyone, there wouldn't be any thought at all. You'd just pick up the nearest thing and smack them in the head, and keep smacking until they stop moving. Right? That I mean, that's it. But I mean,
Yep.
yeah, the question is:
Yep.
is that a negative or a positive thing, a good or a bad thing? And I think stopping evil is ultimately good, but you don't want to stop perceived evil or go hunting people down because what they do is not what you perceive as good. I think, but but it's a hard one, right? I mean, we
Mhm.
we
I
all
I
eat,
got
we
another
all eat
question.
meat, right? So should the animals come and kill us?
Would you, if given the choice, remove every venomous living being
Like,
from this realm or keep them all here?
like all the snakes and spiders, you mean,
Yep.
and stuff.
Anything that's venomous, anything.
Well, that's a harder question because that then well, we think at least that animals are just acting on instinct, right? And that's what they need to do to survive, which we kill animals to survive. So, should I go and kill all the meat eaters, or should all the animals come and kill us? It's a big question, man.
I'd do it.
You do it?
You know why I'd do it? I
because
would do it just to see what would happen. Because like if I took it through
I
like
know. I'm in hell.
if I took it
Freaking out.
through the chains that I understand of the ecosystem and how the cycles and the
Yeah, yeah,
chains
yeah.
up and down
That's
the
all
ecosystem,
interactive and
like
yeah,
how it's all interactive. Actually, you know, if you remove the venomous energetics,
would it
the
get
issue
better or
with the food
worse?
chain would improve. It probably wouldn't do much different.
You
Like,
wouldn't
because the
think so.
majority of the venomous don't really like they're venomous to us.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I
like the
mean,
cane toad, right? Like, yeah, it's venomous, but it even when it's dead, it kills all the native animals, right? Because they eat it. So, and venomous animals don't seem to, give that much back to the environment, do they? When you like,
no,
because not there's hardly any animals, if any at all, that hunt and live on just venomous animals. So it's not like they're a
no.
food source. They don't pollinate flowers or anything like this. They're just these, well, apart from mosquitoes, right, and chocolate. But yeah.
Confusing. Anyway, look, we're rambling on now. I sound like an asshole. That's okay. I just from a perspective of the simulation,
Let us know what
me,
you
I
would
just
do
like
in
to
the
change it
comments.
all up
Would
a
you take
lot.
them out? What would you
I
do?
just fucking change it up, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Change is as
I
good as a
would.
holiday.
Like, for example, the python snake, like that does not bite you and kill you. Like it has
It's a
not got the
constrictor.
venom in it,
No.
right?
Yeah.
But like, and if all the other venomous snakes were taken out of the equation, then humans could live probably quite comfortably and easily with a python
Yeah.
because pythons are really good at killing the
Right.
at keeping your
Yeah,
house
the
clear of other
mouses,
things.
yeah, mice, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So there are positively charged, or at least there are venom, snakes that would be okay in a positively charged environment.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure,
Same,
man.
same with some spiders. Like there's a lot of spiders that roam around that aren't,
Yeah,
you
garter
know,
spiders and golden
yeah,
orbs. Yeah, yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
So I think within the what I'm trying to say is within the
Crabs,
animal kingdom,
lobsters.
within the animal kingdom there is a negatively charged and a
Yeah.
positively charged animal kingdom, and
Yeah.
we're going to go back to the a positively charged animal kingdom, which should shift away and probably because I read a book like about 20,000 years ago about pole shifts,
Mm.
and in an instant from his evidence, animals disappeared and other animals remained but instantly evolved something, like instantly grew feathers or instantly were able to fly. Instantly there was a massive instant evolutionary moment, bang, within 3 hours.
Wow. So
So
we
I
can get
think that the
things.
animal kingdom will reflect the shift, which is good because
Well, I think,
there's a lot of
yeah, I think it'll kind of have to, whether that's instant or it takes a while. I think, all the scavenger type animals and all this kind of stuff, if animals live for
yeah.
longer too, they're not going to be needed or at least as needed.
I mean, fucking marsh
Like
flies,
leeches and ticks, man.
leeches, ticks. What
Like,
the fuck?
what the hell?
And I mean, marsh flies, we've had a plague of them
March
here
flies.
lately, and they are
Yeah,
so painful. And
none,
what is
there's none
that?
here. We don't have
Oh,
March
yeah.
flies, right?
No,
I
no, they're
ran
only here.
away from them. But
All
yeah,
right,
they're,
let's
they're
just
shocking, man, those March flies. Jeez.
Well, all I can say, how exciting in 50 years from now, hopefully we've all this is done and dusted. Imagine the quality of music we'll be listening to. Oh,
Yeah,
imagine the amazing
man.
art we'll be seeing and producing. Imagine
Fashion, the
it's gonna
houses we
be so
live in.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
we're gonna go from Kmart to Wheel of Time fashion. We're gonna go back into the
Yes.
beautiful layers and fashion of the fantasy TV shows, which I fucking love. It's all
Yeah,
going to be
man.
great.
That's what we see in
Anyway,
the past, right? Well, the opposite of it. We went from all of that to the bloody suits and bowler hats, but black, black, black. But yes, let us know what you think in the comments, guys. What would you do? And we are going to be in Mullany in under 2 weeks now. Tickets still available. Come and join us. We'll leave the link below. It's going to be awesome.
yeah, it's going to be
And
super fun,
Bosnian.
very intimate, and like just this basically, just this
Yeah.
basically
He's going to
with
sit
you
there
live.
and rattle on about stuff. Ask ourselves conundrums.
All right. Well, I really love that conversation. Thanks for letting me get all that out. That was good, Campbell. I feel like we're onto
Feel
something
better?
here.
Feel lighter? All
It
right,
feels
going
like this is a
forward.
good, yeah,
Yeah,
yep. Until I crash
man,
and burn next weekend, which,
all good.
because I'm basically being bipolar in this whole conversation with through the last couple of years with you. I'm just
I
keep
know.
flifting between and looking at
He
sort of
worked
like,
hard, man.
yeah. All right, Campbell and I are going to take my sad sob story to Mullaney on the Sunshine Coast for our next live event. It is going to be on the 15th and 16th of March this year. It's our first live event for the year. But this time round, we're going to do some cool thing that we've been wanting to do for ages, which is to make it a camp out. So we're not doing the massive theater production. We're going to be actually hosting and inviting you guys to come camping with us for 2 nights in Mullaney. And I'm pretty excited about this, okay? Like, so this is fun. This is us having fun within this unfun situation we're in. Campbell's like, yes, she's found an example. Good, keep going, Jonesy. Don't get distracted. To me, this is going to be fun because we're inviting anyone to come up who wants to come with their van, come in a car, bring their tent, and come camping with us. We're just going to do it for 2 nights. On Friday night, we're going to all arrive and begin the ceremony, if you like, at 6 o'clock Friday night. And
Yes,
it's going to be
yes.
cool,
We're going to
man.
have fun and games. If you're a musician and you've got an acoustic instrument, please bring it along. Probably no trumpets or anything like that. You know, it is a public space,
But I don't care. You can bring a
but we don't
trumpet if you
care.
want. I'm down with
You know,
that.
we just might be able to save you, but
Because it's all
bring
just
them
a
up.
theater show,
It's
man.
a
It's
theatre
just a
show.
theater show.
We're gonna have a little place where we all meet each other and have a bit of a chat, story time, show and tell. It's going to be like being in year one again. It's going to be
It
fun
is.
before all this
But
stuff got into our heads.
don't undersell the space. So what we're going to do, and this I'm excited about, because obviously we're going to drive down, which means we can sort this out before the actual event, but we're going to create a space. We're going to create a cool space at the showground. So there'll be a space in the showground where everyone can camp out in tent and van, whatever. So in amongst that, that's a cool thing to do anyway, because when people gather in showgrounds and camping, it's fun. You create like a little mini festival just by turning up. But we'll create a beautiful sacred space. We'll get out the fairy lights. We'll set up some areas where we can all gather basically on the Friday and Saturday night. And on that Friday night, magically under the stars, we're going to have some really good bonding fun throughout the night with a few excellent games that we've concocted and just some hanging out time. We're inviting everyone who's coming to bring I see I've got this vision of like 50 cakes turning up, which would be really fun. JC gifted me a beautiful amount of sacred cacao. So we're going to have a really big communal cacao ceremony going on. We're going to open up the space properly. Then we're going to play some really cool, fun things, games to hang out together. So it's a really nice opportunity to be with your peers who are also agonizing about these exact questions and actually get to know each other. Do a bit of a round of, I've been pushing around a speed dating, Campbell. I think that's a really
Mating,
fun. He calls it speed
dating,
mating because we
mating,
just aim,
dating,
we're just aiming at becoming mates,
lovers,
right?
you
We
know,
all want to become mates,
mates. It is
but
Australia.
fun.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna have
Yep. So staying at the camp, the showgrounds, and then we're going to put a show on the next day. We'll wake up and have a breakfast thing together, and then an actual show. Weird world updates. We'll be doing a bit of history on Australia and a bit of a Q&A, much more interactive and casual than our bigger events. So we want everyone to sort of get in and be able to ask questions, be able to give their perspectives and things. And then we get to hang out again on Saturday night. So it's going to be an event, man. It's going to be a weekend. It's going to be cool.
yeah. Yeah, you'll be sick of us by the end of
Yeah,
it. You'll
you'll
be
be like,
like,
I'm
that's it.
leaving.
All right,
Get
I'm
out of
feeling
here.
fulfilled. I can
Right.
walk
Look at
away
that.
from
She's
Tartaria, Australia.
smiling. All right.
But yeah, so basically it's $30 a night for the camping. The tickets are $70, and that doesn't include the camping. That has to be paid separately to the showground. But you're invited to come up Friday and Saturday night, camp out with us. If you're flying in or you want to stay in a more upgraded scenario, there are a few Airbnbs, etc., in Mullaney, and then outwards towards the larger towns around Mullaney. So there's definitely areas to stay, but accommodation isn't massive in that area. So we are really encouraging people to come and have the camping experience with us. It's about an hour 40 from Brisbane. So if you're in Brisbane, this is an excellent, or on the Gold Coast, this would be a really good weekend. So basically we're pitching less the show and more the come and camp with us for 2 days. The show will be running Saturday at the main pavilion all day. It's going to be a self-catering thing, so you turn up with your own food and your own camp chairs. And yeah, and we're just going to have a really good time together. Saturday night, we just be basically an extension of the show. We'll find somewhere to eat and, you know, bring some wine and just gather under the stars once again. And then Sunday morning, we'll formally close the space. In those 2 nights, we will be doing, once we've all connected in and bonded our consciousness, we will do a proper meditation. And if we're lucky, I will manage to find elder from the area to come and speak to us.
Yeah, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Indigenous wisdom is probably on kin with nature for me at the moment. I'm enjoying it. So I think you guys will enjoy it. And yeah, I just think it's going to be fucking excellent. I think it's time. I think people are ready to come and actually be more hanging out and more casual and more. Obviously, we'll do a lot of open mic opportunities for people to share their weird and interesting weird world updates, their weird matrix glitches, their weird experiences that they've happened to them. And yeah, who knows? There might be a few like romances triggered in the space, Campbell. I mean, we just don't know. I mean, what's going to happen?
Oh,
I don't know if at the showgrounds you can bring your animals. I'm not sure. That's a question we could probably find out. I mean, I like having animals roaming around. We'll see what happens.
bring the sheep.
Yeah, bring the lalas. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I mean,
come enjoy
I'm
this.
excited.
Yeah, and it's a cheap weekend away, right? Like $70,
Yeah.
$30 for the spot. Bit of food, bit of petrol. You can have a great weekend, meet your tribe, all this stuff for like $250, man, if you're around that region. So why not? What else are you going to do, right? Come out and meet your tribe. Maybe meet your potential partner. We don't know.
Oh,
Meet a mate, right? But bring your stuff as well. Like we're gonna, like I said, instruments. We're gonna have a story time. So if you've got any good stories, you know, obviously we're gonna be, you know, sort of 5 minutes. We can't have people up there for an hour telling us their life. But if you've got any
unlike
good short
me, it goes
stories,
on and on and on.
yeah, exactly. We'll have to pull Kelly off.
Yeah.
Show and tell. If you've got any interesting artifacts that you've, you know, found or bought or whatever, bring them up. We just want to be really interactive, spend Friday night so that everyone can really get to know each other, get familiar with it, with the energy, and really make a bond of a group. And then we'll go into Saturday, you know, and it'll be we'll all know each other right at the start of the day. So normally everyone rocks up and no one knows each other, and you know, by lunch they're talking a bit. By the end of the day, everyone's like starting to become friends, but they've all got to go home. So this time we're all going to be friends at the start. We'll go through the day. And then by the end of the day, we're just going to, like Kelly said, hang out. We can't have fires, unfortunately. So we might get some interpretive dance people to dance
Wow.
I'm
pissed off about that. Yeah. I'm not 100%.
Come on.
I'm not 100% convinced we can't have a fire. I mean, I think it's March. Yeah. It'll be cooling down, and what the hell? We're at the showground.
We'll give it
That's usually like.
That's what we would love, is to sit around a fire and just have a big campfire, chat, talk, you know, into the wee small hours. Of course,
but you will be
family friendly, so don't bring, you know, any substances you shouldn't, you know.
What are you talking about?
Well, you know, all these illegal substances. You can bring a joint or two, but you know, nothing harder than that. You know. Let's keep it family friendly.
He's putting parameters on.
He's like, oh my God.
Rules. He's giving us
someone's
rules.
Controlling me.
Yeah, but I'm gonna drink a bottle of wine, Campbell.
Yeah,
sure.
We can have a couple of drinks. We can have a couple.
Have a few spliffs. What are you talking about? So that, just to be clear, don't bring heroin. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Don't bring ice. Like, be specific here, man.
No mirrors and razor blades will be allowed.
No mirrors and razor blades. No industrial chemical toxins.
Not about people do that anyway, but you know.
We're all organic. We're all organic.
Yeah, it's going to be a festive evening, but like we're going to get up Sunday morning and close it, so we don't want people, you know, hungover and.
No, I mean,
stuff. It's going to be fun.
I'm all for plants. Awesome. Yeah, plants and organics. they're all right with me. Anything industrial and chemically is not
Just
leads
think
to
of it like
bad
food.
vibes.
Yeah.
And if you're going to drink wine, make it organic,
And
people,
we'll be
and at
checking.
least. And we will be actually opening the space properly. But Friday night's going to be really fun. We will definitely entertain you, and it'll definitely be entertaining. So look, the aim of the game is to get there on Friday. Okay, so if you can, the aim of the game is to get there and camp with us. It's definitely going to be the point of the weekend. So yeah, you've got enough time. Just February, you've got a month and a couple of weeks to get yourself organized and make it happen and travel down with someone. And yeah, so tickets are on sale at the website now, and I will keep updating the details as I'm going. But yeah, bring your own camping chair. And look, if you guys have anything you're creating or making and you want to just chuck down a rug or a picnic table and sell
Yeah.
it to the group, fuck yeah, I'm up for
Yeah.
that, man.
Nighttime markets. If we get
Yeah.
people there, you can set up, bring some cupcakes and whatever.
Yeah.
Electroculture. Whatever
Friday
you
night.
do.
Friday night would have been an excellent nighttime market. I was even lying in bed last night thinking, what could I make? What could I make to bring to the space? Because I love making things. I'm definitely a hands-on art creator. But yeah, like our audience, our tribe, our family are they're very supportive of each other's homemade like things, produce. So if you're locally coming, that would be an excellent thing to share with everyone, whether they be your pickles or your socks or your crazy hats, you know what I mean? Like there's cool things. And the games on Friday night, there will be some prizes. So this will be fun.
There you go. We were also thinking, if you want to just bring a plate or some nibbles or some nibbles and a cake,
Definitely.
sweets, then we can just have a big, like
Friday night.
what do they call it? Communal eating thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll
Just bring
just share
plates and we'll get some sandwiches in and we'll just have tables with food on that way. We can just
sandwiches.
have finger food and that way we can chat to each other rather than all sitting down with a plate on our knees, whatever, and
I think there's a
interact and
kitchen.
mingle. And there is
There's a kitchen, so
yeah,
we'll be able
got
to
fridges,
use
yeah.
barbecues and stuff. Yep, yep.
Exactly.
But anyway, for more details, get your ticket and I'll send out some information and get you onto the WhatsApp chat. So we're all in contact with each other. All right. Well, you've distracted me now, Campbell. So I've
There you
stepped off
go.
my
Now doesn't
ranting
reality
platform.
seem so much better now that we're going to Mulaney?
Yeah, I know. So we can fill up reality in ways that are, fun and supportive, but just don't get caught up on the bigger questions like me, because look at me. You just do your head. I think that's a perfect shot.
Okay, let's
All right, all right, all right. Look, I mean, I'm sorry, everyone, if I just like depressed everyone. Not my intention, just,
yes.
keeping myself real in my macabre, too big thoughts. These are the big thoughts that
Unexplained. It
just do
won't be
your head in.
depressing. Yeah, man.
Maybe we're not designed to have these thoughts. Maybe that's the glitch in the matrix. Maybe it's the fact that we're even thinking this shit that's glitched the matrix out and thus
Yeah.
left us in this no man's land where we've got no answers and no process here. Maybe that's the glitch. We are the glitch.
We are the glitch. We are,
I mean,
man.
I feel like I've glitched out of reality. That's why I can't plug into it. I feel like we've glitched out. And anytime I plug into it, it's just a freaking illusion that I've just distracted myself for a second.
Doesn't make sense, man. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, man. So come and unplug with us and help me cheer up Kelly. Mulaney,
Yeah.
you'll find the link below. It's going to be awesome. Don't miss it. Yes.
All right. All right. Well, we love you guys and we'll see you next week, Tartaria, Australia. And check out this excellent promo for our Bosnia trip, which you're going to be so excited to if you come because it's going to be rad.
It's going to be amazing. I'll see you there
I feel
as
that
well.
my voice has gone high pitched today.
Two fun things.
I know. That's two fun things.
Two fun things.
Two fun things. All right, good.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Stay
Love you lots.
awesome. We'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.